All right. Good morning and welcome to Morning Brew. Thank you, LDG, for catching that error that I had. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Let's go ahead and let's see here. We try to get this stupid thing finished as quickly as possible because it's not wanting to let me update it. So I'll just go ahead and wipe that part out. Got it. Save changes. And it should come up any second now. I don't know what happened with that. I was doing it when I woke up last night. So, yeah, I screwed up. Used to it, so no big deal. And let's see here. 47 Yorktown says 1 day away from standard time. Yes, about time. Because I get tired of saying everybody saying such and such standard time, and it's like, no, it's not. It's daylight savings time. Let's see here. And good morning, LDG. Again, thank you for that. Noticing that problem. I don't usually have the link in the title, but I thought, what the hell? I was having problems anyhow. It just did it. So let's see. Son of a red shirt, Kapla. Good morning and have a great show. Thank you very much, Senator Red Shirt. Hopefully you have a great day. Rod Thunderheart, good morning. And good morning, Burner Prey 5, who is half awake. Captain Cockney Mirror Spot gives me the fire. LDG, no big deal. LDG says, hey, Bird, let's see her going. Greeting each other. Okay. Right, Thunderheart. It's the weekend and I'm still up, so. And Peacat says, I hope you feel better, Bird of Prey 5. I hope so as well. Oh. And the Bosco scenario. Good morning would jump on, but got called to work about for 12-hour shift. Ouch. On call sucks. Yeah. Yeah, it really does suck, considering makes it difficult to plan things. Let me go ahead and do this real quick. I got to put the link up there for my group. Let's see here. Where the hell's it at? That's what happens when you get a lot of messages. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Got that taken care of. And got one more to take care of. There we go. Go to my there. And paste. There we go. Now, let me take care of that. And delete message. There we go. Instead of leaving up the old ones in the Discord, I decided to remove it to avoid any confusion that might exist. Um, and good morning, Ervik Sander. How are you this morning? Let me check one more thing real quick. Okay, since yeah, of course he did. There it is. That takes care of that. Bird, if you're available, you're more than welcome to come up here. Uh, hmm. So anyhow, hopefully everyone is enjoying their weekend so far. Uh, uh, yeah, I guess it's time for a coffee break. Wait a minute. Uh, Wait a minute. Before I do that, stupid Bluetooth, stupid Bluetooth lottery machines not responding. Ugh. Uh, Kentuck Ben says, greetings from Vallejo, California. Pumpkins for everyone. Caesar is handing out the party favors. Okay, wonderful. Yes, thank you, Ken Jack Ben, for posting in the link. And here we go. Let's see here. Yeah. Coffee break.
Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first. Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee. I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula.
Well, I knew that would at least make Ervik Sander happy, which is always good. At least somebody is. And yes, the channel of the day, the correct channel of the day, is NB Geek. Let's talk. And for some reason, it wanted to put the link in the description, which is fine. Wanted to do it a little differently. Anyhow, yeah. At this point, with no one looking at the chat, the group, and being able to come on and not being able to schedule anyone to come on, I don't know what's going to happen. Don't know what's going to happen. Because putting the link out obviously doesn't work. I mean, yesterday went well, don't get me wrong. But if I do it every day, there's going to be crap that happens. And I'm not ready for that. I'm not wanting that anymore. So, got to figure some way out. You want to come on the panel sometime, you know how to get a hold of me. You either do it on Discord or you can do it on Twitter. It's really quite simple. So, and let's see here. LGG says, only because I am still not in the group. Well, yeah. Well, if I invite 10 guests, at least 5 have got to be on. 3 is unreasonably small. Ken Jack Ben says, aside from my precarious housing situation, I'm doing quite well. Still need to get an ID and haven't been able to get to the DMV, but I'm using an old phone that survived a fire. Other than that, yes, I'm definitely wishing for the best, Ken Jack Ben. So hopefully you're doing well otherwise. Jack Ben says, I'm doing okay. I'm still breathing. What more can I ask for? Thought who said taco? Don't know who said taco, but whatever. Although tacos do sound good this later today, so but I don't know. I don't know what would sound good. Don't necessarily want to think about food at this time. A little early in the morning, and I'm still hurting. Yeah. Well, at least setting it for 6, I'm now going to be sleeping in, or even if I'm not sleeping in, I'm going to be doing something else for an hour before I come on. At least maybe then I'll be able to have a chance to ask some people to come on. Otherwise, yeah. Yeah. Obviously, every day doesn't work because you end up losing people, but got to figure out a good schedule to do. So, okay. LDG, what the hell are you talking about? Unfortunately, Bird is not available to come on because if he were, he'd be here already. I need to find some I don't know, free music to play that I can use without any copyright issue, because listening to me just talking away and then silence is not very interesting. And no, I understand, Bird. I know you're still sick. And by the way, you said send out 10 invites. There aren't 10 people I would have up here anyhow. Nobody is interested anymore. So, yeah. At least the chat's talking. I ought to just start the timer again. At least it'd give me time to think. I don't know. And yes, Kinjek Ben, most people use their weekends to sleep in if they can. Oh, yeah. Well, then I'm going to definitely be fucked for inviting people on. Yeah. Well, Eric Saunders says Prodigy wasn't half bad this week. I haven't seen it this week, so it probably wasn't half good either. And Bird, if you're not feeling well, don't come on.
Captain,
What?
you need to stop saying things like people aren't interested anymore. People are plenty interested in coming on. They're just busy or whatever. Some days work out better than others, but you take this like a personal insult that nobody wants to come on. Plenty of people want to come on, I'm sure. It's just, it takes, not everybody has every morning open to come on.
That's not
Yesterday
what
you
I'm
had an
asking
amazing.
for.
Yesterday you had okay. Also, very few people can commit a day a week to something else.
Don't give a shit about a day a week.
Well,
I'm not asking for
you're talking about either trying to get permanent co-hosts or the group of people that you have of potential people to come on right now is less than half what it used to be when you would give out the link to everyone. So yeah, it's going to be days when nobody's going to be able to come on. It's that is the side effect of reducing your group. And now it's your choice to make. And I respect whichever choice you want, but I can't respect you reducing the number of people you invite, and at the same time saying people aren't interested anymore. After yesterday's marathon number of people on for such a long time, I dropped off because I knew I wasn't going to be able to speak, and I was taking up one of the 10 spots. That's why I left yesterday.
Oh, I figured you just weren't feeling good.
Well, I was also not feeling good, but knowing I wasn't going to be able to speak, I was like, let me give up my spot to somebody who might. So I just dropped off and went to listening mode. It breaks my heart. You have a show that's functioning, and you're here and you're still not understanding that this is how it works. Okay, so you're going to have a bad Saturday once in a while. Why not? It's just so pray calling me. Yeah, she's calling me. Hold on, Cap.
No problem. Oh, well. Let's see here. When is the live stream starting? It's already started. As far as that goes, I don't know. Yeah, okay. That's an option. Yes. I hate that option. I'm not Mecha Random 42. I'm not whoever the hell else does this shit. Yeah. Okay, you what? I want to hear more about this, please. Yeah, LEG, fuck you.
I'll be back in a minute, Cap.
Okay, no problem.
Charlie's doing his Charlie stuff. He stole San Francisco Praise coffee this morning. Now he's trying to bum rush her to get the whole cup. Also, I finally got up what I was trying to cough up, so I'll be able to talk a little bit longer.
Well, let's put it this way. If I put the link in the chat, then I'm going to offend people because I don't want to put up with their idiocy. He's just comment on the state of the roundness of LDG's head. That's a possibility. And yeah, that does sound more like here, Ron Johnson. But yeah. Um, LDG, ignoring you is impossible. That's the problem. You think you're entertaining. Sometimes it's entertaining, sometimes it's just idiocy. And Eric's going to check the laundry machine again, which is cool. He's got to wait for Eric to come back. Don't want to just end the show on that note. So, going to wait for him to come back, see what's going on there. Hope we got some people in the chat. So, no, LDG, that's up to me to decide. I'm the host. It may not, quote, be my channel, but I am the host. I wouldn't pay you to come up with a topic. Captain Cockney Spock, I wouldn't pay anyone.
Hello, world. It's Berto Prey 5. Kapla. The love of Charlie helped me hack up the loogie that had been bothering me for 3 hours. I can finally feel like I can breathe again. Oh, man. That is good stuff. Let me tell you, you don't know how much you miss a clean airway until you don't have one. Oh, can you hear it, Cap?
You should be able to breathe better now. That should improve your numbers.
Yes, it should. In fact, I could probably have Mama Prey turn down the oxygen. We had to turn it up. A rare increase to 2 from 1. But, oh, man. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oxygen, 97. Heart rate is down to 86. Oh, it's wonderful. Yes, they were reversed, actually. When I woke up, the oxygen was in the 80s, and the heart rate was near 100. Okay.
Wow.
I am good. Anyway, Cap, I don't know. One thing I was thinking, and let me put this out there, it's up to you. What if you did the brew on Saturday or Sunday, and not both?
Sunday's out.
Sunday's out. So then do just Saturday. That'll force more people to come on. They're not going to be a Sunday brew.
Yeah, nothing Sunday and hopefully nothing Monday. So yeah, screw it.
Well, I know you say nothing Monday, but let's face it, you've had more Monday brews than not in the last 2 months.
I know. Well, yeah.
What happened with Sunday? That's new to me.
Hold on a second.
I mean, if it's a private reason, you don't have to tell me. It's fine. I was curious if it was like somebody, if everybody knew but me type thing.
There was something I didn't think you'd want to hear, so I decided to mute. No,
Understood.
Michael T has not been able to stream, so I wanted to go ahead and do it.
Yeah. He's trying to figure out how we can carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe. I know the plan was he would do Mondays, but
I mean, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was his idea.
Sundays also, or
no, I mean, more people go to watch Salty Trucker than come here. So, really, why bother?
I'll be honest. I don't know if I'd say why bother, but it is annoying when two people are streaming at the same time that want to listen to both, and I when push comes to shove, I'm generally here, but if you only were going to do it one day a week or one day a weekend, then I think Saturday's a better choice because you don't have to put up with the competition. But it's your call. I mean, it's not that I'm not going to come here. So you're just saying Sunday because anti-tracker, not some other reason, which is fine.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, I could make up bullshit. I'm not good at it, but I could make up bullshit.
No, you don't have to make up bullshit. I doubt that. That's a perfectly valid reason. In fact, it's the most logical reason. Or not. I mean, listen, it's your call. It was just something I was putting out there to try and get more traffic for Saturday. I don't know if it would work, but it's something. But if you want to talk about something else other than the show, now that I can breathe again, I'm down for that too. So whatever you want.
Any other topic would be good. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So the mayoral candidate, the Republican mayoral candidate of New York City, Curtis Lewa, who I voted for, but apparently only like 30% of the city did, maybe less. He got hit by a taxi cab today or last night. It was completely on camera. It was his own fault. He ran across an intersection, ran out past a truck and a taxi who couldn't see him, was making a turn, and boom, he went flying. He broke an arm and a leg, I think they said. He was in pretty rough shape. He's not a young guy. But I mean, if there was no video to show it, I would have thought, oh, somebody targeted him. But nah, he was just clearly being stupid, running an intersection with traffic going, like so many New Yorkers who think they're in such a rush to get somewhere.
Well, let's put it this way. Stereotypical New Yorker tends to be rather arrogant.
Well, everybody was. I mean, it's not that the taxi driver even got out of the car. I mean, granted, the video didn't run long, but the taxi just stopped. And like, I assume maybe they called police or something. That
Well,
was it.
At least the taxi stopped.
Yeah, they did stop, but I imagine it was also because they had nowhere to go because the guy was now laying in the road where he needed to be.
That would make it difficult, yeah. It's either that or run over him, but wouldn't work.
Teenage girl attempting record solo flight around globe.
Okay.
She looks like the Vile Child. She's got the same face. I thought Caddy was on TV for a minute. I was like, what, did she finally get her phaser? PCAT says Bird of Prey. NYC has always been a crap experience to work. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
In the last few years, doubt it will get better.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that too. That doesn't surprise me either.
That's the funny part of it, because most of New York City's roads are long and straight. So, unless a car just turned down the block, you can usually see for miles, especially with headlights on.
Sorry about that. Didn't want to be coughing in anybody's ear. I have heard that. It sounds
You
like
got a cough too, Cat?
Yes, I do.
I got you sick. I'm sorry.
It's allergies.
Maybe this is a virus that spreads over computers.
Oh, good Lord.
It'd be the first real computer virus.
Oh, no, that would be funny. A computer virus that only infects humans. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's COVID 2022. 21. Random Menaces greetings from Yosef and the Snot Factory. Oh, Yosef has reached that stage of the illness. Oh, officially, COVID test came back. We're clear. negative COVID, which means that this is just a really annoying cold.
Well, I will say this. When I went in to have the wound taken care of, no, not the wound, for the medicine. When I went for the medical visit, they did go ahead and give me the flu shot. So I'm not surprised if I'm suffering symptoms of the flu because I got that jab. And if it's only a runny nose that I have, that's the problem. I can deal with that.
Miranda Menace also got tested twice, negative too.
Cool.
What if it's mutated to the point that the test doesn't detect it?
The statistical possibility of that is very low. It would have to mutate so much. I'm not a virologist, but I do know, they've got the underlying chemical makeup, the whole blah, blah, blah genetics thing would have to be radically modified. Because that's
breaking news. Captain Track has confirmed a super modified, genetically enhanced version of the virus is out there and active.
Yeah. Uh-huh. A super enhanced version of a already genetically modified and released virus. Why not?
Joseph, I'm surprised someone who has that feeling about flu shots would be otherwise pro-vaccinate.
Where's mommy in the bedroom?
Exactly.
Can anybody hear me?
At least unlike the other, at least the flu vaccine is well tested. We're the human guinea pigs for the other one. Okay, what the fuck? I'll put the link in the chat today. Any idiots come on, I kick them.
Might be there.
Ken Jack says, I don't trust doctors. Their standard of care does more harm than good, and I have to take their word for everything that they say. I agree. There are some doctors that are like that, but I think if you look at the overall lump sum of modern medicine, it's clearly an improvement over what there used to be. So,
Yeah, we go.
I mean, if I get sick and I'm dying, I'd rather go to the hospital than just be left to die. But I do think that the minimum level, I do think we seek out doctors for a lot of things that we probably shouldn't.
Yep.
We could reserve the doctors for the big stuff and treat the smaller stuff ourselves or with a good nurse.
Exactly. I don't see any problem going to the nurse practitioner. If I didn't have to see my doctor for the medicine refills, I wouldn't. I'd just go in and see a nurse practitioner, but she can't do the med refill. And I say
Maybe
because
have a doctor do an initial prescription, but then let nurses or whatever, or even pharmacists, side refills. You know, if you're on a medication that you're expected you're probably going to be on for a year or the rest of your life, why should you have to go to a doctor every 3 months or 2 months or month or whatever after that? It makes no sense. The only thing it makes sense for is the industry because it's guaranteed money.
And that's the funny thing. They don't get money.
Unimportant visits. Somebody's getting money. It's coming from insurance or from somewhere. Or not in your case, in the majority of cases.
Right.
Like maybe for you, it doesn't cost anything, but for the majority of insured people out there, their insurance companies cut in a check. And even if it's a $50 check, multiply that by 10 million people, that's a lot of money.
Well, this is true. This is true. And good morning, Rod Thunderheart.
Qapla'.
Good morning. Good to meet you. Yeah. Qapla' there, bird of prey. Yeah. Hey. Good to see you guys on this Saturday morning.
Oh, yes. So what's going on this morning?
Oh, dogs are upstairs, still sitting around. Going to be letting them out on the deck pretty soon. Sun's about to rise. I actually I was listening to. I just came on to Doomcock's stream last night, and then suddenly, like, he blanks out, and well, not his fault, technical difficulties, and then he had to end the stream. I took a quick nap, about an hour, and I woke up on my PlayStation to see Robert Mario Burnett. I'm like, oh, he's on, yes. So I sent him a couple super chats. Yeah, then I sent him a couple super chats. Talking about which I'll get to in a second. I sent him a couple super chats about Eternals. Kind of fell asleep listening to him, and then woke up about an hour and a half later, and I'm like, well, had to rewind to listen to the super chats that I did send him, and then I'm sitting there like going back and forth between, hey, what's interesting on YouTube, and then like, hey, you pop up.
Cool.
Hey, Eagle Rider.
Good morning. How's everyone doing?
Yeah. Oh, pretty good. Listen, Captain Trek, by the way, I listened to your, if you haven't seen, like, I listened to your video yesterday, and like, I completely agree with you. Yeah, let's face it, it's kind of squirrely sometimes running your own stream, and then suddenly, like, if you don't watch it, other people can take it over, and then, like, before you know that, like, like, it's out of hand, and like, everybody, it's going off in 5 different directions, and you're just kind of like, well, I wanted to still get to this topic. And, so no, trust me, man, I completely agree with you on that. You have to, it takes a bit of a firm hand sometimes. It sucks, but,
Well, it's just like conversing with any group of people. People get distracted, or people have different ideas and thoughts, and things pop in their head, and it gets hard to sometimes basically herd the cats into place.
Exactly, to corral them. Yeah, good point. Yeah. I agree.
It's just kind of human nature in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, you wind up talking about anything that's like, in the news like right now today.
Yeah, honestly, the one I kept talking about is a news article about something that happened Halloween. Mostly because it made me laugh.
Okay, what happened?
Well, the beginning of it was disturbing as hell. A guy decided to break into a kindergartner's Halloween party dressed as Pennywise and harass and try to touch the kids. Over in the UK.
Oh my god!
And about time he touched one of the kids, another kid came flying over and did a flying drop kick into him, and then he got beat up by a bunch of 6-year-olds.
Cool.
What?
Yes.
Oh.
And the news article that they shared about this happening in the UK includes the video clip of this tiny little 6-year-old flying up in the air and drop kicking this grown up and all these kids beating him.
What? Holy shit.
I keep watching it and laughing and laughing. They stranger dangered him into traction. I mean, I love those kids. I don't know if you ever heard.
Wow. I don't know if you ever heard of Weekly Weird News, but there's a channel called Internet Today with guys by the name of Ricky and Elliot who've been doing this for like 6 years. So I'm like, again, Weekly Weird News. I can't believe they didn't do that, put that on there. But like, oh my god, that just, And I'm from Canada, and like we have some. We actually take a good part of their news up too. I can't believe. I'll tell you. Wow.
My husband found it, and I'm sitting there going, you know what? Literally, my first thought was if it was anywhere but like UK or one of those countries, if it was down here in the US, he would have been shot for trying to do that to kids.
Oh yeah. See. Yeah.
I'm just being completely honest. If it was down here, somebody would have shot him.
Oh,
but what kind of creepy, disgusting predator-like person does something like that?
I don't even know it has anything to do with guns, but just simply just like, no, trust me. Like, honestly, some comedian, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, this is going to be controversial, warning, but one comedian, I forget who it was, like Chris Rock or something like that, and like but they suggested that like any child rapists should be instantly castrated. And I'm 100% behind that.
Yeah, as soon as you prove it was them, do it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it sounds terrible, but it has this wonderful clip of these kids beating this guy down, and I love that. Clip. I love that clip so much. I love that clip so much. I keep watching it, laughing and laughing and laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I did my stream last night with all the girls with the, as they're calling it, Rogue Cotton group, that was the article I brought to the group for what we were talking about. So we watched the little clip, and then we all laughed as a group about how dumb he was. That's gonna be like the worst slasher movie ever. Man dresses up, tries to screw with people, gets his ass kicked by a bunch of 6-year-olds. The end. I mean,
gets owned by 6-year-olds.
Oh, and not lightly. They knocked his ass out. Oh my gosh.
Nice.
See, you don't even have to see the clip, and it's funny, you know?
Just from the sounds of it, makes me chuckle.
This is
so bird of praise, Captain Trek. You're silent.
I don't know if they know what to say.
Not really at this point.
Good point. Yeah,
we're just resting the voice.
Good
but Rod, am I detecting a rural accent? Like
who, me?
Yeah. Are you from a rural area? Yeah.
Holy crap! I swear you're psychic. Yeah, actually, I am. Actually, I'm from the outskirts of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
I don't know. There's just something that I mean. I doubted you were from New York, but you had some inflections or something that remind me a lot of the people who live in the upstate New York town. My family is at a house in Caroga Lake, New York.
I'll be honest, I'm almost flattered.
Honestly, I always enjoyed hearing them speak. But I knew it wasn't New York, but I figured there was someplace close by. So,
yeah, no, nice. Well, that's funny too, because I'm Canadian.
Better at recognizing accents than he is trying to do them.
You know, I watched a video by it's called Brew, BREW. They do a whole bunch of varied, anyway, funny, animated, general interest, like, hey, this happened, that. Anyway, it's called FAS, something accent syndrome. And basically people who got a brain injury or physical injury of some type and all of a sudden took on a perfect accent from a place they've never been. Like there was a woman who went to the dentist and something went wrong and she ended up with a perfect French accent. And there's only been 100 or so reported cases in the last 100 years. But there are a few people who have it now. And it's really just amazing hearing these people talk. And in his video, one of the animations he uses is he's pretending somebody all of a sudden becomes Australian. And so, you know, as when I do Aussie Pray, I often start lines with oi, and Anti-Tracker calls me out. He's like, who starts, you know, what Australian says oi? But in this video, this fake Australian, he uses oi twice. So I sent Anti-Tracker the link to the video. Of course, he never wrote back. But
you are all weirdos.
Yeah, I think we all are. That's why we're here, instead of like listening to the mainstream news or anywhere else. Because we're looking for alternate forms of entertainment.
Avoiding the mainstream media just means that we have a half a sense of brain and we know that they're full of bullshit.
There you go. Exactly. And by the way, whoever was like they had a perfect French accent, I almost guarantee you actually that the perfect French accent is like from France, not Montreal, because anybody with Montreal French is just kind of like, you know, oh, back in the day, you know, like, because there's just something about Montreal French that's just kind of like,
annoying.
Like, you know, yeah. A perfect example is like, have you seen? If anybody's seen Monuments Men with George Clooney and stars? It's you know, you had John Goodman, Matt Damon. You know, at one point there. Yeah. Well, at one point there, like this Frenchman, he's from France, and it's out there. He's riding they're riding a carriage, you know, and like Matt Damon sitting beside him. It's like he says, James, where did you learn your French? You know, and then like Matt Damon kind of sort of half embarrassed. He kind of like shrugs, oh, here and there, you know, and then the Frenchman looks at him straight in the eye, kind of like, where, you know, and then Matt Damon kind of like, oh, Montreal, and And immediately the Frenchman is just kind of like, oh, shakes his head. And that's the thing. It's like France looks upon Montreal or Quebec, Montreal French as just kind of like, because like, and I have to admit too, like we even had a prime minister, Jean Chrétien, back in like the early 2000s. Well, obviously he was a French, but like he had the way he spoke. I'm sorry, I can't, but he sounded like Popeye, kind of like, oh, back in these days, like, but like that's a perfect example of like again Montreal French.
I have a weird story for that actually, because I grew up in an area that's got a lot of tourists from all over the world, and I actually do remember as a kid an argument between one of the guest that was visiting from Montreal and a Frenchman. At one point, he kept calling him a lazy, bastardized American who thinks he's French. And I just remember listening to this laughing. Like, wow.
Just to answer Erevic Sondauer there and the thing. Actually, no. I'm in Western Canada, and no, they don't require us to take French in Canada. It's an option, yes. I mean, because I took French in grade 10, and then I'm just kind of like my grades went from 51 to 41 to 37, and finally finished off at 27 because at that point I hadn't even cared to the point I handed in my French final exam in like 10 minutes after I'd gotten it. So like, no, sorry, Erevic Sonder, like. I get it. It's true. Yes. I mean, like French is, but I mean, at this point now, it's really more important in Quebec, not the rest of Canada.
Well, that is something that is misunderstood then, because there are a lot of people that are under the
No, I get it.
idea that that's required. Whether okay.
It kind of used to be, but like
I was gonna say I know some people that told me that was when they were kids in different parts of Canada, but a lot of them are saying it's not for their kids now.
You're right. You're right. It used to be, but like now it's kind of like,
It's just French. Fuck it. I mean,
I'll be honest. I didn't like it at first. I didn't like it back in high school, but like. Only now, recently, I mean, I learned Spanish, and I'm still not as good as I used, not as good as I could be with Spanish. But like, I learned enough Spanish that like when I went to Cuba, I bloody loved being able to like talk to them in Spanish, in Spanish. And the same thing with French,
So I know a few words and a few things and a lot of languages, but the only language I've actually been really trying to figure out and learn more of would be going to the Lakota side. So
that's not a surprise.
It wouldn't be to you because you know that I deal with the res in my family a lot. So
in fact, I would be surprised if you didn't want to.
A, it's the cultural thing, but B, it's honestly there are parts of the res where they don't really know English very well. Because you don't have a good education system anyways, and honestly what they speak is a kind of modern, slightly bastardized Lakota. Which is, I'd rather at least still be able to converse with them, and you're not going to go down to somebody in third world conditions and criticize them for not learning multiple languages when they're trying to feed their family. That's also not a thing. So it's just easier just to know enough to actually be able to understand each other a little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was watching there's a Canadian TV show called Murdoch Mysteries, which now that I've looked at it worldwide, it's actually #1 in Brazil, China, and Belgium. And I'm like, wow, like a Canadian show. But there's an episode where Murdoch and two of his constables walk into a hotel room, and then they run into a French detective. and the French detective starts speaking French. He's like, oh, get, you know, and like, and then the one constable understands what he's kind of understands what he's saying. He's like, he just called you a monkey, George. You know, and then the Frenchman gets up and he's like, not just him, you too. You know, and then he looks at Murdoch, and Murdoch's like, "Avec pas, s'il vous plaît." You know, and then he's like, he holds out his badge because he's a French constable, and he says, and like, this is the way the French look at the Montreal French, which is like, he's like, let's do English, please. Allow me the chance to massacre your language. You know, I just like that's exactly how the French look at like Montreal French. Oh, I'm sorry. I just
No, I get that completely. Actually, see, I think there is. I have openly made a lot of cracks about irritation of dealing with a lot of tourists growing up and stuff, and there is that amount of the tourists who come and do stupid shit because they have no idea how to act, or they come into the freaking mountains and then they complain that the animals can go anywhere, and it's like, you're in fucking nature. What do you think would cage them? I mean,
exactly.
But or the Canadian teenager who was out his freaking car window trying to selfie with flash against a bison. Yeah, that was an interesting day.
Holy crap!
I'm not kidding. I witnessed that one. So, so yeah, there's the ones you make fun of because dumb tourists abound. But
exactly.
Also, when you're in a place where you get people visiting and coming in for different events from around the world, you do get this amount where you get to hear different languages and cultures. You get to hear lesser known myths from different areas when you talk to them. You get to experience more worldliness and more cultures and history than most people get to. And there's actually a positive to that too.
Oh, very much so. I mean, Anthony Bourdain said this too, you know, which is like, you know, he said if he can speak as a person, he said he advocates for anyone to walk in somebody else's shoes and walk as far as they possibly can, you know, across the street, across a river, across the state, maybe to another country. You know, he said, but like for however often you learn to walk in someone else's shoes and understand them for who they are. And he's talking about other countries too, obviously. You know, but.
And that was, I think, one of the greatest things I learned. And I grew up in, you're new around here, Bird and him. No, I grew up in the Black Hills. I grew up dealing with Sturgis and bikers and all the people who want to see Rushmore, and then all the tribal stuff and Crazy Horse and stuff. So it's very even without the tourists, it's very split between a lot of very different cultures that are very distinct from each other in this tiny little region anyways. Especially since you have this like mountain range and all the caves and all this stuff right next to a high altitude painted desert. I mean, you know? Because you've got the Badlands there. And so there's all these different cultures anyways, and then you add in all the tourists and stuff, and you could be anywhere from dealing with Middle Eastern culture and African culture to the Old West to Native culture to bikers and patriotism and stuff like that, all in the same day.
And Ervik Saunders says, Eagle Rider, I've met a lot of Navajo people since I moved to Colorado. I didn't know they were here.
There are some, because they were most of the time Rocky Mountains from down in the New Mexico and Arizona area where the Rocky Mountain lower end hits. They would be, and so some of them naturally moved up into the mountains there. You don't get them much past Colorado. By the time you hit the upper part of the Rocky Mountains and you get closer to Wyoming and Montana and closer to the Dakotas, you don't really find them. But yeah, I've known a lot of Navajo from Colorado in my life too, actually.
Yeah. Yes, I agree, Vic Sonder, that Anthony Bourdain was gone before his time. He should have. I wish he was around too. Like my brother got me into him, and he was man. I loved his travel shows. Absolutely loved them. No Reservations and Parts Unknown.
And I hope you're all doing okay. I just couldn't sleep, so I decided to come hang out, talk, and work on my beads a bit.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both. That's kind of half sleeping, then I wake up and whatever, have another beer. What the heck?
Well, let's talk about the ability to be as professional as possible in a weird situation. Because right now on Friday nights, we've been starting a show the last couple of weeks, so it's a bunch of us girls doing a very strong, opinionated girl stream for the community, right?
Yeah.
And so I try to be for this because it's the serious place for us girls to actually showcase and shine. I try to look nice, be fancy, and smile and personable for it, no matter what's going on. And it was about halfway through it last night that my phone started going off while I was trying to be on this panel and do all these stories with them. While I was trying to do this was when I found out that one of me and my mom's friends is terminal with her cancer.
Oh.
So I haven't really slept well since then. Because basically as soon as I got off the stream, I got emotional. So it's been an interesting night, to say the least.
By the way, that's some amazing beadwork that I can see in your camera. Like, holy crap, that's huge.
This is what they call the diamond darts, where it's literally you're like doing like embroidery style work by doing crosswork style work with little micro beads.
I'm actually in awe because, like, Jesus, that's huge. That's like blanket sized, or like towel size at least. I mean, like, whereas like the beadwork I'm familiar with is just like wristbands, headbands, neck bands. Wow.
I've done a lot of jewelry and stuff like that, and so I do these because you can get them where they're pre-printed, and you just got to be able to follow along and stuff. And it has the image, which is this one. I have them actually working on printing some customs of some of my own photography work I did, which I'm going to be beading like this. So it's actually going to be my photos beaded into these giant artworks.
Nice work. Amazing.
This one is actually one that I got because it was marked down and I fell in love with it. It's a freaking little white tiger cub cuddling up. But it has taken most of the week to put together so far.
Nice work. Just congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow. Like I know too, like my brother's one of my brother's friends too, like he does beadwork too, but like she's never done anything that big. Holy crap. She usually just, like I said, just does like wristbands, headbands, neck bands. Wow.
Yeah. And I make and sell a lot of jewelry. I have for years. But I ordered one the other night, which, it's going to be interesting when it arrives because this one I'm currently working on is 50 by 70 in centimeters, or just about 2.5 feet wide.
Wow, you said centimeters too. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, these things are sold mostly through international groups, so they usually tell you in centimeters.
Hooray!
It's just like a lot of my friends are in England. A lot of my friends are in England, so I'm used to converting Celsius to Fahrenheit and stuff like that, and I've gotten very used to it. But we started scheming this, and I ordered it, and it's actually the one that's going to be showing up in the mail is the 140 centimeters, or almost 5 feet.
Wow.
And that one's actually...
And good morning, P-Cat.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Yes.
How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Nice work, you Ryder.
Not bad.
Definitely.
Not bad.
Really nice.
Enjoying Eagle stories.
Absolutely.
I have to say you're like one of my heroes on Twitter. The way you go back at some of those obnoxious. I don't know how you keep as calm as you do.
Considering how many of them find me, I either can mock them and put them down and laugh at them, or I could get stressed dealing with their idiocy. I choose to mock them.
the smart, less stressful way, absolutely.
Well, that and then you're just using them like virtual punching bags to take your stress out on, instead of getting stressed by them. You know,
that's a good point.
But no, so the one I'm going to be getting is, it's almost 5 feet wide. I actually picked it as this whole little romantic swan one, and I found one that has all the different symbolism of me and my husband's favorite colors. It's got a lot of the angles and stuff like that. And part of what me and my husband have connected doing the last few years is hanging out with and photographing the swan family every summer. So having the romantic swan couple in our favorite colors done up all fancy is kind of I picked it because it's going to be a way to have artwork to represent us, you know? But
yeah, right on.
It's going to be one of those that's going to take weeks to do because it's massive. But hey.
Nice work, though. Again, I have to say, as somebody who's I'm not experienced doing it, but like I've seen it, and I know that anyone who does beadwork, like that's bloody amazing. I have to say, like, holy cow, good, nice work.
The diamond art craze has gotten very popular within a lot of the tribal side of the family. I think because there's similarities in doing this to sitting there and doing all the seed bead looms and stuff that we've always done kind of culturally anyways. So it kind of has that feel of a little bit of our culture and our style, but something that's a little easier to do when we can just sit and relax, you know?
I would not find that relaxing.
I actually do. And the other thing I've figured out with doing this, because it does take focus, but it's also most of it's here. I mean, I'm to the point with these things now where I don't even slow down when I'm altering and editing things to make the picture a little more my own, and changing some colors and stuff like that doesn't even slow me down. I mean, but my cousin got into these a lot. To kind of explain that, she had a very severe reaction to a med she had after an ectopic pregnancy, and she's got severe permanent disabilities and stuff in her stomach and all these surgeries she's been through, and so she can't be up and about or do much because of how much damage it did to her. And so she does these things to relax and unwind so she doesn't feel cooped up and trapped with nothing to do, you know?
Yep. No, that's cool. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And she's one of the sweetest people, but it's kind of interesting because I got into these before she did, while she was still going through all the medical stuff before she got settled basically with her issues. And so I was in all these public group chats and stuff like this, and involved in all these art groups on it, and sharing with them for a couple of years. And all of a sudden, here's my cousin in a lot of the same groups sharing stuff. I'm like, "Hi, girl. Hey, everyone. I know this person." But I think that kind of made it easier for them to all get to know her too, actually.
Yeah. Well, actually, believe it or not, up here in Canada, even on mainstream media, YouTube has actually advertised. They took some guy who and they basically, like, some girl narrates a commercial, and she says that she basically explains, my dad just got laid off from his job, or rather, my dad got laid off from his job, and as a result, he went on to YouTube and he started demonstrating certain Jamaican recipes, and suddenly now his channel is one of the most watched YouTube videos or YouTube channels. And I'm like, I'm just kind of like, holy crap! YouTube is advertising, like, Jamaican cooking, and like it, but like it's interesting though too, like how much YouTube has become so ubiquitous in regular culture. Ultimately, even
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, like, because you have like simple things like how to repair simple things or how to do simple things, and now you find
Yes.
the younger generation is relying on YouTube to do things that normally older generations learned on their own or through osmosis by watching their parents
Oh
or older
yes,
people. Now it's
exactly.
simple things, like it's almost like the young generation, they can't survive if it wasn't for seeing a video on how to do simple things.
Oh yes, exactly. Like I grew up on the farm, and Dad taught me how to change a tire. How to make sure how to adjust your carburetor. Well, like now we don't even need that with fuel injection, but like the point being, like as I was growing up, stuff with your car, like the air, the washer, like all kinds of basic stuff that normally, well, like if it happens today, somebody would just simply call AMA, and was like, I'm just going, no, I'm fine. I can do this myself. But yeah, no, like
Yeah,
that's the problem with
I grew up
today's
in the
generation.
mountains. I was hunting,
Yeah.
trapping, and doing all that kind of stuff, and helping run the house and do stuff with mom and dad when I was little. There was no. You think about, okay, I tell people the first thing I actually remember is waking up from a seizure. The thing is that the seizure hit while I was helping clear the
Wow.
table because, there was nothing with mom had against making the 3-year-old help clear the table and wash the dishes after the meal.
Right.
And think about that compared to what's going on now. My mom did bat an eye at that. It's like, hey, help clean up the mess you just made.
Oh, exactly. You don't
But
get that today.
how many people would be making their 3-year-old help wash the dishes they just dirtied?
No, now you get people that are
Exactly.
4 times older than you were, and they still have to be held on a leash.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Let's face it. I live with my brother. My mom was put in a home thanks to the rest of my family, and I'm sorry, I don't want to drag the whole thing of war within my family, but but like with my mom being put in a home, me and my brother, who got kicked out of his own house because my mom had bought his house to help him during his financial difficulties. My sister turned around and sold his house, and so of course he's back here on the farm living with me. But anyway, um, the thing of it is that we're, and now I forgot my point. It had something to do with my mom being at home and anyway, well, no, like the two of us being together, and like for the time being, it's all we can do is work together, and like against the rest of the family, and and my mom, and trying to well get the farm from the rest of the family. But man, as I said, I forgot my point I was making.
It happens. Don't worry about it. No, see,
Don't worry.
my dad has multiple types of muscular dystrophy, so I grew up dealing with that stuff very young. And
Yeah.
one of the things that we're doing right now, as this family set, well, every year they open up where different time of the year where you can hike up Crazy Horse and actually be up on top of the monument on the arm and overlook the mountains, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of Dad's favorite things in the world was the view and the experience from up on top of the monument, especially considering we're related to the chief,
Mm-hmm.
And the last time he was able to make it up there because of how rough the hike trail is to get up it was when I was 11. And he's always talked about how much he loved it up there and how much he doesn't think he'd ever get back up there. So we're scheming right now. We are planning this whole thing out so that in the summer here this year, when it hits the anniversary of when Dad proposed to Mom, me and my husband and my mom are going to, put together and pay them to put together a van tour to take him up to the top and let them picnic together and stuff. so he can see it one more time.
Yep. Yeah.
And because
that's right on.
You want to do what you can for people who deal with these issues. And when you talk about your mother being put into a home, I could never imagine doing that to my parents.
No, trust me.
I would move in with them and take care of them first. And considering how much we drove each other nuts when I did that while my mom was injured.
No, that's right.
Because what started me as a photographer, what started me doing the nature work was my mom giving me a camera. And the story behind me getting the camera from her was that, a few years ago, she had a fall on the ice on Christmas Eve. Oh. And she dislocated both shoulders and broke the ball joint in one of them.
Wow. Oof.
And yeah, so they had her fully in this whole casted thing for a couple of months where she couldn't move her arms or use them in any way, shape, or form.
Oof.
You can't do basics of life. You have no idea how hard it is to function with no arms, basically. Especially when you're 60 years old and you're used to having them.
Yeah, been there. Trust me. Not me, but like personally, I've seen it.
And then my dad has the muscular dystrophy. He can't lift things. He can't do that stuff. He can't take care of her physically like that. And you're talking about an elderly disabled couple up in the mountains. They don't have money to hire a nurse or something. So Dad called and told me that happened, and I went into the mountains and stayed with them for a few months and helped take care of both of them.
Yeah.
And in that time, I was, because that's what you do. I wasn't going to let them pay for every little thing we had to deal with because they were already dealing with her medical. And so apparently when I kept paying for everything, Mom's response to that was that she took some of the money they would have had to pay for all the stuff they needed. And she got me the camera for my photography because she knows how much I like my time and interactions with animals, and got me the Vitamix for my kitchen time. And so I could do a lot of the things like wojapi and stuff for tribal food for my husband. And that was her trying to, give me something back for how much I helped out. But I stayed in their house for months helping take care of her with this. And my mom is as hyper and unable to sit still as I am. And she couldn't do anything with her arms. So she couldn't even do something like this to keep her mind occupied while talking or hanging out. Yeah, it was a bit of a pressure cake. We all got crabby with each other. I'll admit that. But that's what you do. You take care of people because that's the right thing to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing?
Good morning.
Today? I was a little, yeah. Hey, PCAD, great to talk
Grandpa
to you.
Geek.
Same here.
I can barely read that. Oh yeah. Hey, Grandpa Geek.
Cap,
Nice to meet
I was
you.
a little taken aback by seeing that thing that had my, on your channel, NB Geeks. I was like, oh, so I want to say thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. As I said, I've made this list up months in advance, and fortunately, I'm getting towards the end. I'm gonna have to find new channels to add, but that'll take time.
No, I understand that, but no, thank you. Cap, how are you doing? Kinjack Ben, how are you doing, buddy? I see you in the chat. Random Menace, Aravic Sonder. I'm hoping everybody's having a good day. Pretty much, Cap, after I left your show yesterday, I pretty much slept all the rest of the day. I told you, I had a shit week of getting any sleep, and pretty much my body finally took a toll, and I was only averaging about 3 hours of sleep, and body took a toll of me. I crashed out around, I think, 1 o'clock to 7, and then I crashed back out at 9 o'clock to literally 7 o'clock this morning, my time, Eastern Standard. Oh, no, sorry. We're still in daylight time. Eastern Daylight Time, and oh, man.
Until tomorrow, then tomorrow standard.
Yeah.
Do we switch to standard tomorrow?
More sleep.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
More sleep. More sleep.
No, I had a lot of factors that played into why I couldn't sleep. I was getting off a prescription medication. It caused me withdrawals. Then several other factors played into it over the week for various other things, and it just felt like I wasn't getting any sleep, and I wasn't getting restful sleep. So last night, other than the weird ass dreams I have sometimes, I got the best sleep, and it's really what I needed. So I'm up. I'm actually awake. I feel good. And I'm now able to do something I haven't been able to do since I've been on that medication. Actually eat breakfast in the morning.
No, nice.
I woke up. No, because I would wake up and it was like this medication would suppress my appetite. And if I tried to eat anything, let's just say I'd be in the bathroom praying to the porcelain god. Last night I got up. Yeah, last night I got up. I ate the spaghetti my wife made, and I cooked up some bacon this morning. And I'm like, God, it feels so good to be able to wake up, cook something, and not be afraid that I'm gonna throw it up later. Oh, it's been a rough week, but you know what? I think I've gotten over I think everything's good now.
Good to hear.
Preparing for your big movie stream tomorrow?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm going to be researching today. Yeah, I'm going to be researching the 30s, 40s, 50s. I found a really great link that really goes into the history of those, that gives me at least a good framework to where I can look at. Like it turns out in the 30s, the first movie to be done, and that's when Technicolor was invented. And the first movie was called, damn it, I can't remember. I haven't had my coffee yet. But, the first movie that was set in color was in the 1930s. So there was really a progression over a decade, over the 20-year time frame, from going from silent films to going to talkies, as they called them, where you could hear sound. And then they started going to color in the third. They were testing it out. And it changed the dynamic of stuff, because what I was researching is one of the things was people were kind of maybe overhyping the way they talked in those movies to try and make sure they expressed the color to people. Whereas now you see, you understand what I'm saying, Rob?
Yeah, no, like what people would do is like they would talk and they would mouth what they're saying like extra big to catch it on camera. Yes, I get it totally. Yeah.
Yeah, so they had to learn, that was a progressionary period where they had to learn how to, take back. It's like, we don't need to give a color description of this stuff because the people can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I know it wasn't. I'm sorry.
Go,
Cat.
No, I was going to say I know it wasn't the first, but it had to be among the first 2 or 3 would be Wizard of Oz, right? That popped in color in the 30s.
Oh, perfect. Yes, exactly.
Yes, Wizard of Oz, and let me look it up. Let me see if I can check my history, because I did check the first color movie.
Coffee sounds goof right about now.
It was called
very goof.
Something. It came out in 1935. I gotta check.
It's interesting because I know at that same time too, they almost were going to shoot The Son of Frankenstein, which came around that time, in color. There's even test footage in color, but then I guess I don't know if it was cold feet or whatnot. They decided to finish it up in black and white anyway.
I disagree. I think it was more likely because of the way the monster was set up. It would not have. You see, we see him as a gray thing, but that's not what they used. They didn't use gray. They used a different color.
No.
And they thought it would ruin the experience of the character. if you saw him in color like that.
Interesting.
Right.
Well, look what happened. You had Munsters was so popular as this black and white show, but when they tried to do a relaunch, it wasn't even the acting that killed the remake they did of Munsters in the 90s. It was the fact that nobody liked seeing the characters in color.
No, that's right. Very true.
It didn't have the same feel. It didn't have that same relaxed artistry.
Yeah. No.
Well, I think that one of the when I look at a movie like Dracula, and she talks about his red eyes, how Bela Lugosi could just stare like that, even though it's in black and white, you can almost imagine seeing those red eyes there.
No, that's right.
And when they tested, no, go ahead, sir.
No, sorry. I was just agreeing with you. That's all. No.
It's amazing how Dracula was so effective, and you only see literally one small drop of blood when Renfield cuts his finger, and that's it. You see no fangs. You see no penetration of the bite, and it's all theater of the mind.
Well, I actually miss that mindset, that viewpoint of the less you see, the more you have to imagine it.
You miss the imagination, letting your mind go.
Because nothing that they can do in special effects is going to scare me. But if I have to fill in what is the thing behind the shadows that's doing it, my mind can fucking scare me.
That's exactly it. I mean, that's why Jaws was so effective, is because we never saw the shark for probably most of the movie, probably about 95% of the movie. And the times that we did was scared the fucking shit out of you. I'm like,
dude, I didn't go in it. Well, they made that tagline, you won't go back in the water. Trust me, I didn't want to go back. I lived in Florida at the time I saw that, and I didn't want to go in the ocean.
Hey, Renier.
I lived in Midwest Canada, and I didn't want to go in the water, just simply because even though it's there's no goddamn way possible that sharks are in the lakes in Canada, but don't tell me that, I'm like, I ain't going out there.
The interesting phenomenon is there is actually documentation of times that some sharks that are less sensitive to the type of water have gotten up in some of the rivers that are connected to the ocean at some point. And so you will actually every so often have a shark show up in the Mississippi River or something.
Oh yeah, you'll have that. You'll have
scare us some more.
And dolphins that left the ocean and just kind of rolled into what connects to the rivers.
I'm trying to remember what the fucking lake was. There's a lake, and it's actually 2 states in from the ocean. But there's a shark that's not sensitive to needing salt water that came in right along one of the major rivers from the ocean and swam down the channels and this lake is having an outbreak of them now.
St. Lawrence River up in Canada there, between
this is one down here in the States.
Oh.
I can't remember which one it was though. Right. And it's you hear this and you're like, fuck that. I ain't going anywhere near that, because the thing is that the sharks that are less sensitive to that stuff are also the ones that are usually more violent anyways. So it's fuck that. I'm out. Fuck this shit. I'm out.
Exactly.
There was that scene in Jaws, if you remember, you guys were talking about, how they swim all over the place. You remember they pulled that scene out where they were opening up the tiger shark, and they pulled out the license plate that was far away from where Amity Island was to show how the shark traveled. But the funny in-joke was it was from Louisiana, and it had 007 on it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is where Live and Let Die
really?
came out right before. It was the Bond that came out right before Jaws came out.
This might be what I'm thinking of. I'm scared. Becky Sharp. That's the movie I was thinking. That was the movie I was thinking of. I was trying to look up 1935 movies. Becky Sharp was portrayed as and advertised as the first movie you're going to see in life, because it had color in it from Technicolor.
So here's a question for everybody, and even in the chat: if The Wizard of Oz, again, it's just a guess on my part, but if I were to say there was one movie that more people saw at least once in their life, not saying the favorite movie, not saying best movie, there are people, but the one, if you were to pick one movie that you feel that more people saw at least once in their life.
I would agree. You have to remember too, we have to look at the timeline of when this was. TVs weren't a regular thing, or in fact, I don't even think the TV had been invented. So one of the things is movies would come out and go to theater, and they'd watch it, and then they'd come back to the theater later.
Yes.
And then they would come back to the theater again later so people could watch them again.
And because you have a lot of theaters that do these family shows through the summers or when people are bored during winter break and stuff, where they're intentionally running all these family classic movies from different eras for either nothing or next to nothing, so families can get out together and see them. So you have a lot of people that are seeing these movies that way too.
Well, remember at that time too, movies weren't just, drop my bag. Remember, movies at that time weren't just what we see now, which is just a little bit of you get the advertisement, you get the 15 minutes of trailers, and then you watch the movie. There was the short reels, the cartoons, the newsreel,
intermissions.
And some had intermissions, yes, like in the theater.
They'd stop the movie halfway through and say, okay, now's your time. Go get snacks, make your bathroom break, all this stuff. And to a degree, while, there's a little bit of annoyance going, I don't want to stop the movie. But it's not like you saw the movie from where it stopped, and they picked the spot before where they weren't stopping it where you're going to miss anything critical. It wasn't overlapping the words people were saying or stuff. So it was a way to get that break. And for a lot of people, that break was always kind of needed. It was a good way to get the kids corralled and to have time. And it was a good way to bump their sales for their snack bar, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, one of the things I found out about theaters, too, is originally you would just go to the theater and watch the movie. They didn't have a concession stand. The concession stands originally were outside the theater. People would buy the food and then go into the theater. And the theater started realizing, wait a minute, we can make more money if we sell it in here.
Yep. A few bucks on the side here and there. Exactly.
Well, that's where the whole snack bar term came from. It was literally a little mini bar area outside of the theater. And then it became something more in the theater, and they had to, stick with the titling, stick with the terminology. But the reason it was called that is because it wasn't just a part of the theater.
Right.
And thank you, Eric Sandra. I agree. I think Picat's right. Wizard of Oz and A Christmas Story can be favorite.
It's also when television started grabbing movies to play, obviously, that added to the experience, because obviously none of us were born when Wizard of Oz came out. We all saw it on TV. Every single year. It's always a holiday tradition, and then the advent of cable, and it's on multiple times a year and so on.
Well, Wizard of Oz did, I think, a similar thing to The Secret Garden. Parts of it were in black and white. And then when you get to the really important part, when she gets to Oz, everything just transitions to color. And when they get in the garden, things transition to color. And it's kind of like, a visual at that time to say, oh, this is a big deal. Something important's are happening here.
Yeah. Hey, welcome. Mahler identifies as long, or I can barely read it, actually.
Mahler identifies as Long Crow.
Yes.
And
morning, Crow.
Good morning, everyone.
Howdy.
I hope you are all doing fine.
We are doing well. I am. Sounds like everybody else is, too. So.
Oh, well, God woke me up with a kick in my ass this morning. and that actually means
It's going around.
that I had a cramp in my left butt cheek. Ever tried to get rid of a butt cheek cramp?
I can honestly say no. I never have, thankfully.
I'm thinking of so many really inappropriate metaphors for life with this. I can't even tell you.
I would recommend some Dr. Hose, but that's just me.
Well, one of the things I like about how Wizard of Oz ended, and I've read the book, and the book is much darker than the movie. If you've ever read,
Frank L. Baum's writing is twisted as fuck, but so was he. If you ever read some of the shit he said and promoted,
right?
Yeah, I've read. I have the Wizard of Oz collection, the originals, on my tablet, and I've read 3 of the books, and this is some twisted shit. I think
they did Return to Oz a lot better for actually dealing with how dark the books were. Actually, if you remember that movie.
And yes, I remember Return to Oz. I think the problem with Return to Oz was they went to that formula, and it confused people who had never read the books. That it's like, wait a minute, this is weird. I didn't like it because at the time, because I was like, this doesn't feel like the Wizard of Oz. But I didn't read the books until I didn't read any.
It's funny you say that. Yeah.
I didn't read the books until I was in my 30s, and yeah, they are more closer tied to it, but it just didn't feel, like it was supposed to be a continuation of the Wizard of Oz, and
it was the Return to Oz was a combination of actually 2 of the different follow-up books, and it went into the dark ones. It starts with them basically trying to torment and give Dorothy electric shock, having the hallucinations of Oz.
Yes, yeah. You got a point.
Well, one of the things that they he also did in his books was, remember, one of the characters, and I can't think of the name, the character that is in the second book finds out he was originally a female and turned into a male to hide him. And it's like, okay, you need to become the princess. You need to do this. And it's like, I don't want to be a female. I don't know how to be female.
Well,
intriguing.
The woman who had seized power, the villain of Return to Oz, the character is so creepy from the books anyways, the one they used for her. And literally, killing people so she could keep their heads so she could wear them like jewelry, basically. And that actually was a part of the character. It's also the actress they picked for it. It's the same actress that played fucking Bad Morta in Willow.
I forgot about that movie.
She is good at being creepy as hell.
It's like when you read... Oh, go ahead, Rod.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
It's like when you see Disney's versions of things like Grimm's fairy tales, because trust me, Cinderella, the Little Mermaid, did not go the way those movies should.
I will be partly fair. The Little Mermaid wasn't grim, but if you look up the original story that even Hans based people based
absolutely.
on, she died. Her father's trident was run through her heart.
She died for 800 years. She went into purgatory.
And B, her father was imprisoned to her enemy for a long time.
Right.
I mean, it's a horrific story. And the point of the story was be happy with the life you were given. And they turned it into this, look beyond your borders. You'll find your true love out there. And that is not what the story was about at all. It's the complete opposite.
Yes. As a matter of fact, the Canadian Film Board, actually, they did a really nice animated version of The Little Mermaid in the 80s. And it was goddamn gory. Well, I mean, it wasn't like... Well, I mean, it wasn't gory, but it was graphic. And like, as a kid, you'd be like, holy crap. It would shock you into it.
Let's think about the first version of Sleeping Beauty. She was asleep the 100 years. The prince kissed her awake for her to watch him die in front of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have in The Little Mermaid where she's obsessed with, and I'm going to use a term, she's trying to get this guy to love her.
You're right. Obsessed.
He doesn't. She basically commits suicide. And her transformation from mermaid to human was
exactly
like Renita A here said. Little Mermaid's story is sad. She dies in horrific. Yeah, she basically commits suicide. It's not a happy ending.
No, it's not. It's not.
The thing is that all of those stories were to teach kids a lesson about what's out there and to be aware of people and things. It was literally, those were your stranger danger warnings of that time. They were written with morals and lessons. They were dark. They were creepy, but they had lessons in them about what not to do and how not to do things. Look at the Three Little Pigs. It was all about being secure and protecting yourself from predators.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, 100%. And, the Grimms, they were German, right?
Yes. Yes, they were.
They were in the Germanic, yes.
These were German folklores, and these were what we're taught. And
not really.
People,
that's why I said Germanic. They were part of what's considered that part of the world, but it used different cultures from that set of tribes.
Even the Grimms stole their stories from other cultures.
Right.
And made it more German.
Oh, yeah.
I would disagree. I don't think they stole them. I think they just did what
influence.
They adapted them.
Yeah, I think the difference in whether you're just stealing or adapting has to do with how are you doing it, and are you at least giving honor to the original source? And while the Grimm brothers had their issues, one thing I will give them, and you got to remember, there's some stuff in Grimm brothers I will rip into, like the fact that many of their stories define black hair, black skin as marks of satanic. That is real, actually. Yeah. I read all those fairy tales very young.
Yeah.
But they did try to, when they found folklore that they liked, that they wanted to write versions of, they did try to stick to the base of the story and the moral of the story. And I give them that credit.
Yeah.
Well, remember in Cinderella in the Grimm's fairy tale, was it Cinderella? Yeah. That to try and fit the shoe on, one of them was told to cut their heels off, and they cut their heels off to try and fit in the slipper.
Right.
And good morning, Mr.
Yes, that's
Gregory.
right. That's right. I remember that.
Good morning.
The sisters cut their the sisters cut their toes off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
One cut part of her heel, one cut part of her toes. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Roopity-goo.
Pretty goddamn gross.
Look, there's one story, and I have it in my books of fairy tales that I've used from a lot of my research for my writing and art, where it's not just that this woman kills this guy's wife and then convinces him to marry her because she faked it being an innocent death, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then after this, she torments the son for years and then kills the son and bakes him into a pie and feeds him to the father.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the son comes back to life as a crow and basically tortures her and picks her to death. I mean, let's think about how dark of a story this is.
Oh, goddamn, yes. Exactly.
It's always...
You don't see that in the animated stuff.
No.
What's funny nowadays is people say, oh, this is too dark for children. I'm like, the stories that I read in these were read to children to scare them and warn them and give them a message.
Stories are lessons. That's the point.
I will
Stories are
recommend
lessons.
all of you look up a book and try to get a copy of it called Heavy Words Lightly Thrown. It actually goes into different folklores, fairy tales, lullabies, poems, and stuff like that, and their dark meaning and history and the way parents use them against kids. There's one lullaby where literally the entire lullaby for like 6 verses is the mom singing about how obey me or I'll have I'll basically have Satan drag you into hell and kill you and stuff like that.
Oh,
and the final verse of it is the
Chris
kids.
Roberts book.
No, this is an old lullaby.
Yeah, oh, okay.
And the final verse is the kids getting revenge and basically getting her to bring him up and then sicking him on her and having her killed and dragged off.
Well, think about Hansel and Gretel. I mean, we didn't think as kids.
Shoving the witch in the oven.
The witch that brings them in is basically a cannibalist.
Yeah.
Or she's not basically, she is a cannibalist. She wants to eat, she wants to cook and eat the children.
Yeah.
And Rosetta, you brought up nursery rhymes. Think about Ring Around the Rosie. That's based around the Black Death.
Yeah, that's the Black Death, yeah.
By the way, so was Red Rover.
Yes.
Which was just an innocent kids game, right?
Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with Red Rover.
Red Rover.
It was actually based
on right over.
It was literally based on trying to break through a disease and defeat it, so kids would link arms together and have somebody try to break through the barrier.
Yeah, what we would do is we'd all lock arms. One side would lock arms, and it would be Red Rover, for example. Red Rover, send Captain Shrek right over. And the point was he had to run through us.
Oh,
break our link, break our arms. But not break our arms, but break through our link so they could be saved.
Oh, let's be honest, break your arms was something that happened several times actually with that game.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Good point, 18. Yeah. By the way,
yes.
By the way, I just like to circle back to to Wizard of Oz. I just like to point out, like, does anybody find it funny that, anybody who's actually read the story versus what appeared on the movie screen? Interesting points are that, when you look at what happened in 1939 when the movie came out, everybody was going to war. The whole world was going to war. Men, no matter mostly of whatever country. And then suddenly, they decided that, the whole movie was you feel it at the very beginning. It seems to be kind of like a woman empowering movie, and then all of a sudden at the very end of the movie, Dorothy says that I'm not gonna. We're back home, Toto, and I'm not gonna leave home ever again. And when you think about it, that's basically saying to women, because women were the ones who empowered World War II. They were the ones who went into the factories during the late 30s, early 40s.
The Rosie the Riveter era. We're going to help build machinery. We're going to help support the war. We're going to help get this going.
Exactly, because all the men went to war.
Back in the kitchen. And then after
exactly
back in the kitchen.
I mean, exactly. It's like a League of Our Own sort of stuff.
Exactly. It was a brainwashing movie. Whereas the actual ending of Wizard of Oz was that it really did happen. That Dorothy did go to the land of Oz. That's the whole point of the first book. The following books, whereas the movie just makes it as a fucking dream.
And
I live in the land of Oz, so I can agree with the story.
One of the things about also Oz is that it comes off as you look at Dorothy in the 1939 movie, and then you read the book. They are two dynamically different characters. Oh shit!
Exactly.
Time.
Well said.
Ozma. Oh. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Yes, I agree. 100%. I thought that as a writer.
Ozma was a boy, became female once she wins the crown of Oz. What do you make of that? Well, during the story, it was a shocking thing, and Ozma was confused, upset about it because it's like, I don't want to be a girl. Not because he wanted to transition. It's, this is a dramatic change. I mean, this is going to change his whole life, his whole perspective. And the book is about him understanding it's okay. This was put upon you. I mean, basically, it was a curse. He was cursed to be a boy when he should have been a female.
Which is why they don't talk about that part now, because that part would be considered anti-trans.
Yeah. Change is okay if you can deal with either side of it. It doesn't matter whether you accept it or don't accept it. Change is inevitable. And that's the difference. You can't say that now because you have to go, no, there was no change. You were always this way.
But in later books, as you hear about Ozma, Ozma has had time to adjust and become comfortable in her new life and her new, transition.
How many books are there?
Actually,
of the
a lot.
Original, I don't remember. I've only
Actually,
read
a lot. I don't remember the exact number, but there were actually a lot. I read through them all as a little kid. Even though even as a kid, I hate the author because of some of the shit he said and did, because he was one of the ones that was out there writing op-eds, defending the massacres, the tribes and stuff like that. But I can put that aside because he did write good stories.
14
and
books,
so even as
by
a kid, I read a lot of them.
14 books. Okay.
I thought there was 3.
Oh my
ladies
God!
and gentlemen,
if I might
you'd
take
be
a little break here,
surprised.
and so Captain Trek can play his coffee break for Kronos really quick. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Because
I can take
a little bit left out here.
Okay, I gotta get more coffee anyhow. When I get back, Bird.
Black.
Coffee, black. While I've got your attention, there are
Coffee first. Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee. I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your 3rd cup this morning.
4th, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula.
So there you go, Kronos. Hope you are happy.
Imagine if she was into weed, how motivated she would have been to get back home.
Edge of time, coffee, because murder is wrong.
True.
Well, I actually have seen people with coffee cups, and I have one where it literally has the level of where my coffee is. Fuck off. Leave me alone. I'll be with you in a minute. And then that's, what can I do for you? And of course, what can I do for you is at the very bottom.
Or now you can speak, or I'll acknowledge you now and stuff. But I don't get the whole thing with coffee at all.
Yeah, me neither. I don't understand it.
I can't even stand it.
Well, I don't drink as much as I used to. But also, since I've retired from the military, I don't drink as much coffee as I used to. I don't swear as much as I used to.
That I'm fucking toast on. I am fucking toast on that one. Oh, fuck.
And I don't use my sarcasm as much as I used to.
That ain't fucking changing on me either.
So since leaving the military, you're less Australian? That's what I'm getting at?
I wouldn't know, buddy. I've never been to Australia. Also, amazingly, I never met, and I only met one Australian. I don't know if you have a Marine Corps or not, but I've only met one. I've only met one Australian military person in my during my 20 years. I met a lot.
Yes, we have a Marine Corps. We also have a Navy because and we also have all the defense forces. We're very. We're very.
I was gonna say you guys did not invent sarcastic, crass as fuck. A lot of the guys over there want to see if they can perfect it, but you guys did not invent it, and I've been that way my whole life, and I'm as middle of America as you can get.
I
Oh
remember.
no, we didn't invent it. We just perfected it to a certain.
Nah.
I remember being
filthy
I remember
penal
doing mountain
collywankers.
warfare. I remember doing mountain warfare training with the British Royal Marines, and we would sit down and talk with them. And I swear to God, you're talking about two people who can. You're talking about a group of people all speak English, and none of us could understand the other side.
I mean, in all fairness, they did invent the language. As much as I have a hard time understanding someone from the north of England to the south of England, they did invent the language.
To also be fair, a lot of the accents and English that is in England now is a bastardized version, as bad as the rednecks we have here, and it's not the proper language either.
Hey,
what's that all about?
Hey,
you've got get it done or in it.
You got the
from
redneck
England, like
here, and I accept that.
I have no idea what that's all about.
I've learned something today.
I was going to say, I will say I have a lot of British friends, and they all openly admit that I actually know more about the language than they do. So I don't know what that says about either of us.
Well, let's put it this way. The word, and I'm going to say it because Yvette says it and stuff, the word cunt seems like it is the British version of calling someone a fucker in America. But in America, that word is very considered inappropriate. In fact, my wife was like, why are you saying that word so much? I'm like,
cunt.
Oh, I've been on these group with a bunch of these, people from Britain and stuff, and she asked me not to say it because it was really bothering her. Now, I can say fuck her all you want, but that word is just a very, I mean, they don't even want to use it on.
It's so weird for me because, like, like I'll say to someone, it's like, oh, this is Sean. He's my best mate. He's such a mad cunt. He's so good. Like, it's not a. I never call someone that as a term of anger. I can say, there is a term, like, he's been a bit cunty, like he's been a bit of an asshole.
I'm gonna use that,
but like
I'm gonna call somebody that.
It's weird for me. Like, I get more of a visceral response for calling someone a motherfucker. I'm like, are you saying someone fucks their own mother? Like, when someone says you're a motherfucker, I'm like, well, that's a bit rough. Like, wait, are you saying that I fuck someone's mother or I fuck my own? Like, it's a weird thing, but as a cunt, I mean, cunts are great. I love them. I mean, I'm sure the majority of people that are on the panel enjoy them. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a beautiful word. It's just a very phonetically hard starting and ending word. So I can understand where people don't like it, but yeah, I mean, for an Aussie, I think it's a great word because
the harshness of the sound is not why I don't like that word.
No, I mean,
I mean, I think most of the guys here know why I don't like that word if they think about it, because we've had that chat with at least Captain Trek and NB know about why I hate that word.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is the first time I've been on stream with you. So if there's some sort of history with it,
me too.
I don't mean to upset with it. I'm just expressing from my perspective what it is.
It's upset is sometimes it trips certain memories. So
what we have, we're willing to work around social boundaries, but like where you said your friend and you called him that word, I would have said he's a great son of a bitch, or he's a great.
I would never insult someone's mum like that. Like that I hate.
Yeah,
that.
I actually don't like the son of a bitch, son of a dick stuff. I don't like
motherfucker, son of a bitch.
Family.
Anything that degrades a woman specifically, for whatever reason.
Well,
I can talk about her body parts.
In some dialects of the language, the C word is considered a degradation of that body part, not just that body part.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes into that.
It's the same thing. You got Arabic. It means the same thing as calling someone a whore.
And it's funny is I know people who will call people that word over and over and over, but will cringe like fuck if I say somebody's acting like a twat.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just it's just, our cultural differences. Whereas it's a completely acceptable thing to say in your culture. Our culture, it's a massive problem. It really is not. It's just not something we say on a random basis.
I'll explain something this way: is I have a friend I talk with and hang out with backstage a lot. They know who he is. British guy. His mom is disabled Air Force vet from England there and stuff, and she has a tendency to very verbally and loudly yell for when she wants her cigarettes, and what she would yell could actually get our streams struck.
Oh,
well, I mean, okay, and that's the thing. Like we had lollies, candy, which were fake little cigarettes that they were just made of.
Oh, we had those over here for a long time.
Yeah, and they were called by the same thing. They're now called fads, FADS, fads. And I mean, I didn't understand that terminology was a slang or an insult until I was a teenager, because it was something that was never used.
No, I get it. Yeah.
When I heard that term used the first time, it was in Britain. I wasn't in Britain, but I was outside. I was smoking a cigarette, and one of the Royal Marines came over and said, "Can I bum that word?" And I was like, "Oh, what?
How did you know?"
I remember I was doing research one time on the F word, because you have different people from different parts of the world will react to it differently. And I found everyone knows the fornication under consent of king was a thing, one of the origins. I found another origin from a rare tribe that actually predated that by about 100 years. And it literally means to bang two sticks together to try to create a fire or stuff, right? And I told my dad this, and without missing a beat, he looks up and goes, "Wouldn't that make it a gay sex term then?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, a bundle of sticks is also another term. Like that's
yes,
that's
it
the
is.
irony of language when it comes to different things.
I come from a place here in Germany where we have learned different German slangs. So we have the usual German everyone speaks, most likely everywhere in Germany except of Bavaria, because they brew their own coffee down there. And I also have learned my city language and some other city languages which are close by, because every city here has their own, or had their own language back then. So I've learned them all. And with it comes also a little bit of old German language. Like, for example, when you Americans say to fuck, that was translated to German to ficken.
To strike.
No, to ficken. And ficken, the original German meaning of ficken was to educate someone. So, if someone used that word,
your kids are learning.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's a lot of people I want to educate now.
I guess that is a very different type of intercourse that we're talking about then. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And the thing is that every time everyone says that word, du Ficker or whatever, I have to think about what the fuck does he mean? Does he mean the English word or the German original meaning or the German new meaning? So it's
probably the English version, but I would agree.
When we say go fuck yourself, we are not saying we want
go
to
educate yourself.
Go educate your penis. Go fuck yourself.
So now I can go into a bar and say, "Hey, baby, you want to educate?"
Real quick, PCAT. My wife Madam Geek came in. Apparently, there's a second trailer that just dropped for Ghostbusters Afterlife. If you're interested in that, go check it out later. Because my wife just came in and said she saw it, and she is very interested in this movie, which is really good.
I have another geek moment.
Cool.
Oh, go ahead, honey. Tell them.
So I have another geek moment I have to share with you guys, and you guys will appreciate this. So I teach 3rd and 4th graders. So Thursday morning, 2 of my students are talking about Back to the Future and are talking about Einstein. So hearing this conversation unfold between these two fourth graders, I ask, so what's the name of the dog back in 1955? And they're like, Einstein. I said, no.
Nope.
What's the name of the dog that Doc Brown has in 1955?
Copernicus.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I give them a few minutes to really think about this. And you just see the blank on their face, like, I don't know. I don't know this. So I tell them it's Copernicus. And like, oh. So then we got into our morning discussion about Back to the Future. And I'm asking them, what did Marty, what did he disrupt in 1955 that he had to fix? And they had this blank look like they couldn't know. It's like, remember, Marty bumps into a younger version of his dad. And anyway, I'm doing a trivia first thing Thursday morning with these fourth graders on Back to the Future, which is actually pretty cool. But obviously, they weren't paying attention to the details like us geeks. So I said, your homework tonight, if your mom and dad allow it, is to re-watch Back to the Future so we can discuss this again. But it was really cool that these fourth graders are being exposed to something that we grew up watching.
Nice.
So,
I was going to say there was an interesting part when my cousin graduated a while back. And my cousin is, oh God, how do I describe him? He has several doctorates and masters in different physics, DiffyQ, and stuff like that. He works as a professor at a science college now. So that gives you a little clue what he's like.
He's a proper nerd. That's good.
Yes, he's a very proper
nerd.
nerd. He's a very
proper
proper nerd.
nerd.
But when he had his doctorate graduation a few years ago, and we got together for this, and we ended up with this table where we had me, a couple of my siblings, and a few family members and stuff. And I don't know how this happened at this freaking luncheon. All I know is at one point the entire table turned into this long debate on how quantum physics and time travel could actually exist and what the best time machines in sci-fi were. I don't know how this happened, but that's
Funny.
where we went. And I've kind of always told people my favorite time machines I consider A, the DeLorean, just because it's a cool looking car, and B, the Enterprise, because it's traveled in time enough. It's still a time traveling machine.
but it was really cool because I kept asking them questions, and I told them, it's like, did you know that DeLorean is actually a real car? They didn't make very many of them. And I went into a mini history lesson that, it was Mr. DeLorean that made the car. And you just see the faces on these kids, like the wonderment and the amazement. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah.
It was ahead of its time in design. It looks like a 90s style car with some of the sci-fi of the 90s in it.
Yeah,
and
you should have said that there was a bunch of
them. It was ahead of its
them.
time in the 80s. It was ahead of its time in the 80s.
Absolutely.
It's actually an abject failure as a car.
Yeah, that's the sad part about it. Is it was so bad that it failed. But what you should have said was it was so good, but unfortunately when Marty went back, he messed up the timeline so that he didn't sell in the future. That's why we don't have so many.
And he never could get the thing to start reliably.
So even though I
Does anybody find it funny?
It doesn't stop. Those doors are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody find it funny that the I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, does anybody find it funny that the Klingon bird of prey was the very same vehicle that Captain Kirk stole from Klingon Doc Brown to go back in time? When you really think about it.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, with Christopher Lloyd. Yeah. Yeah, nice. I didn't even think of it that way. Yeah.
It's bad that as much of a Back to the Future and Star Trek nerd as I am, I still a lot of the time think of Christopher Lloyd with referencing to the stuff he did with Clue. And because I always rewatched all the Clue stuff over Halloween season, it's like they did the weirdest one because everyone knows how twisted the movie was, right? A while back, the show Psych actually not only did a follow-up where they brought a lot of the cast back together to do a spoof of it, but in that one they also didn't pick which ending and which solution they were going to have until the last commercial break. They actually had the audience vote on who they wanted to be guilty. And it was
really?
Yes, and they literally filmed the endings for every single person in the building to be able to be guilty, and the audience voted on who it was and picked who it was. And yeah, it really was. It was crazy, but they had him back in there as this absolute asshole from Harvard and stuff. But I mean, it had Leslie Ann Warren, it had Martin Mull, it had Christopher Lloyd, it went through the Telegram Girl being there as the invites, all of it. It was
what was the movie called?
This was a follow-up to Clue was the original movie. This was a episode of Psych where they did it as a tribute to the movie Clue.
Oh, Psych? Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's worth watching. They did a lot of great tribute episodes.
What season? Season 8? Because I have season 7 and 8, but I never got around to watching
It's in one of the last 2 seasons. I don't remember for sure which one.
Okay, 7 or 8. Okay.
I remember because by the time that episode came out, Tim Curry was in the wheelchair and not acting. But he actually was in an episode of Psych before all that stuff and his stroke and everything. And he played an equivalent of Simon Cowell, where basically they didn't know who was trying to kill him because everybody wanted to kill him.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I thought he was Dale the Whale. Huh.
And
Dale the Whale. Oh, sorry, sorry, that's Monk in 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Right. No.
And so it was a hilarious episode because it was just like literally like somebody's trying to kill him, and it's like, well, everybody wants to kill him. Was the whole premise of the episode.
In which case, I need to finish episodes or seasons 7 and 8. I have them too, actually.
They've been making movies of Psych.
I've got it's I see it on Prime.
The first one, oh my god, it's so
Lassie Come Home.
No, that's the second.
The second one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The first one was actually set to take time in Christmas time, and it actually deals with the return of the whole issue of Yin Yang and the people they defeated while they were in Santa Barbara.
Okay.
Lassie Come Home was because Timothy actually had a massive stroke when they were trying to film the first Psych movie.
Oh. Okay.
And he was unable to do anything other than about 2-minute little video chat with Julia in that first movie because of how bad his medical was. And even in that little video chat where you just see his face and it's not close up on him, you could still see he was having trouble moving his lips and stuff.
Wow.
And so Lassie Come Home was after all his physical therapy and he got cleared to go back to work with the cast. They made the second movie all about he got hurt in this shooting and stuff, and he's been going through physical therapy, and we got our Lassie back and stuff, and solving this case involved connected to what happened to him. So they did it as a tribute to what he went through as a way to invite him back. And the third one is supposed to be coming out this month.
Oh,
yeah,
oh my god, I gotta look for that.
I had no idea they did movies of Psych. I watched you're talking about. I'm like, okay, maybe you're not.
The first movie has one of the greatest scenes because it has this whole fight scene where everyone's beating the shit out of each other, and they set it in Christmas time, and they're like everyone, and so you've got like Sean's dad and some of the guys are all getting beat on by this group of female wrestlers to cheery Christmas music.
Okay, so you're talking about Psych like Dule Hill and that Psych.
Yeah.
There was
Corbin
movies?
Burnson, Dule Hill, and
there are movies of it. My favorite freaking line is in Lassie Come Home, and that was how Sean would always do the don't be the to Gus, and right at the beginning of the movie he looks at him and don't be the night your dad fell asleep inside your mom. It's like, oh fuck. And he said it, and I remember watching it the first time. And as soon as he said it, me and my husband looked at each other with, did he just? Oh, damn.
Yeah, my mind's blown. I love Psych. I didn't even know there was movies. Like,
no,
there's 2 movies, and there's a third one coming out.
They scheduled when they did the final episode. They scheduled to make 6 movies.
Oh wow. Oh, holy crap! I gotta watch for them then. Yeah, because I've seen on Amazon Prime Psych.
And to be
Lassie,
fair,
come home.
they were supposed to be done with the movies by now, but again, because of Timothy's stroke, they got delayed a long time on the first couple. But they're trying to get them out more now.
Absolutely. And welcome, Resolute Germ. What's going on?
Hello.
Hey, Resolute.
Nothing much. How's everyone doing?
Hey, nice to meet you, man. Hey, good to see you.
All right.
So what's going on, PCAT? Nice to have you on today.
Yeah, glad to finally be on. Timing worked out well today.
Good to hear.
It's funny too, everybody talking about Back to the Future. Yeah. Everybody was watching V for Vendetta that I know last night because of November 5th. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch Back to the Future. Same date. 1955.
Yeah, my British friends were going, it's really interesting that we celebrate the one day we tried to kill our government.
Yeah.
Well, and because, you know, again, I spend most of my day in backstage video chats with friends over in England, so it's like they were laughing the other day about all the fireworks. It's like, we're celebrating that we failed to overthrow the government. And I was like, ouch. The way he said it, it's like, oh fuck.
Well, just like a couple of weeks ago was like Columbus Day, so it's just like Happy Treason Day, you ungrateful colonials. You know, like.
Nah, every time the 4th of July rolls around, I'm like, Happy Independence Day and Happy Treason Day.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know. You ungrateful colonials.
What's going on, Mr. Wendell?
Oh, hiya.
Hey.
Chilling. Had to have an omelet and a cup of coffee before I joined.
What kind of omelet?
Same here.
Cheese and mushroom. Something simple.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah. Delish.
I like mine. If I was going to do mushrooms with mine, definitely put some green or red or yellow, peppers in it too.
Yeah.
But that's me.
I didn't feel like going through all that.
Were the mushrooms already chopped up?
No. Well, they were sliced already. So all you got to do is throw them in a greased pan.
There you go.
Saute.
Oh, hey, Aldo.
Add a little knob of butter and you're laughing.
But, you guys were talking about Guy Fawkes a little bit earlier. The amazing thing about that is the non-support he had from Catholics. Because his other supporters tried to ride and rally other Catholics, and they were like, hell no.
I mean, the one thing about God, you got to remember, it was remember the 5th of November, and years later, we still do. So it clearly worked.
Remember the 5th of November.
Remember that you failed to overthrow your government, British people. You couldn't even try. At least the people you sent over here knew how to overthrow a government.
Well, they did overthrow with Cromwell. They did overthrow a government. So,
From a movie perspective, I love the voice. Like, there are very few movies that pop into my head when I think the strength of the character was just the voice, without seeing who the person was. You think of Darth Vader.
Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving, Darth Vader, and then I also think of the original Invincible Man. Just voice. You don't see what he looks like until the very end, but by that point, he's already gone. But the voice carries the movie and the character. So powerful.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things I read about that when we were doing our movie research is it was interesting since they didn't have green screen back then or blue screen. They covered everything in black and had the physical character go through and do stuff, and then they put the the actor in black and undid everything so they could make those scenes.
They
didn't have all the green
hell back
screening
then.
and stuff that we have now. So you got to
No, they
realize how
didn't.
much work went into making
that's
that
true.
kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Well,
So,
they
like,
used
when he
to,
took
they used
off
to
his,
overlight and then shine it on a clear background with a complete color, whether it was red, orange, green, or whatever it was. And then what they would do is they would expose it to different chemicals and different lights, so those colors would shine through. So you'd get an almost transparent background, and then they would refilm that over the top of whatever their painted glass background was.
Kronos, to answer your question there, it's the clapping sound of the schlong.
Wow.
Oh.
I didn't even see what Kronos asked, but what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I'm like, wait, what?
It's funny you mentioned that though, because
Well-
actually I just wrote a book series. I'm starting a book series called See Through Love, and it's about an invisible woman who falls in love
someone gonna
with
get arrested?
the new gym teacher, and the new gym teacher, he's blind, but he can see her when she's invisible. And also, when she gets angry, she can turn invisible. But like when she's aroused, well, it happens like it or not.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just about finished the second book, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know what Andy was talking about too with the effects. It's interesting how much rougher it was. Like today, you can have somebody play a Klingon or whatever, and it takes hours in prosthetics. But you play the Wolfman, and you change for a 10-second scene. They're spending hours and hours and hours in the exact same spot. Add a little bit of hair, freeze. Add a little bit of hair, freeze. Add a little, just for a 10-second clip.
And then think about the fact that you had with things like King Kong, where all those little bit of motions and stuff took hours upon hours for them to put together because they had to just turn it slightly, go back, hit the camera, turn it again, hit the camera, do that.
Oh, with King Kong, the actresses hated working in those stupid grip points and stuff of the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was painful. And there's some of that even today. Look at what was talked about on the behind the scenes with Lord of the Rings. The guys talked about the same thing with the Ent setup. Because they were actually up in little grip machine for it to look like they were up there. So they were actually being gripped by this little prop for hours.
Oh, you mean when the actress was picked up by the grip on before King Kong showing his hand?
Well, that, and then they did the same thing
Exactly.
with when the characters get carried off by the Ents in Lord of the Rings, and they did the same kind of special effect technique. And the guys talked about how much pain they were in that stupid thing for hours. Yeah.
And let's see here. Yeah, I agree. 18. Computer graphics are nice, but I appreciate real models and figures in movies for effects. Yeah. Practical effects are really underutilized nowadays.
They're underutilized in some ways, and yet in some ways there's some things that are so dangerous it doesn't make sense they still do it that way.
Well,
you know?
Yeah. I mean, for the things that are too dangerous to do, fine.
Yeah. But like
that's
a space
weird.
battle.
It's like it's the dangerous shit they're still doing, and the stuff that's easy and simple to make a physical prop of, they're doing digitally. It's like you've got it all ass backwards.
Exactly.
Well, it's cheaper to put an actor in a death grip machine than do it in CGI.
Yeah.
Well, take the whole thing with one of the best practical effects movies I think most of us would maybe agree with or not is The Thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And then they tried to remake it. And here's the thing I found out about that. they had, when they redid that movie, or they tried to redo it, they had hired a company that had all practical effects. And then they said, and then the studio said, no, we're going to go CGI, and it looks like shit.
Yeah. All the CGI was based off the models that they had already created. They created hundreds of physical models, and then they used the 3D capture technology, which was terrible back then, but that's what they wanted to use, and that's what happened. So they still created all the models lifelike, but none of them were shown.
I'd love to see those scenes without the CGI. See how I'm sure it would have matched up better with the John Carpenter 1982 version.
The one with the guy's head on it, the guy who plays Bishop in the Alien series, his head on that thing.
Lance
it's terrifying because you see it. It's like spider legs
totally.
going across, and you see that in the behind. It's on the DVD. You see it behind the scenes, and it was never used. I'm like, you get this weird like Scorpion King-esque style bloody.
Yeah, that was special effects.
Terrible.
Oh my god, that was horrible. And see, I loved the Mummy series, but when they added the Scorpion King in, oh my god, they did it so bad.
Yeah,
it was laughable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they would have been better off going with they would have been better going off with a practical effect. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You
absolutely.
could have done it with a practical effect because we've seen
why
stuff like
even
that.
do the Rock if you're not going to do the Rock? Like,
Oh, totally, man. Yeah. Especially that CGI, like sit there and he does the Rock's eyebrow. You're like, well, man.
No, I mean CGI can be done right, like in Avatar when they started doing that with the facial features and stuff.
But
that wasn't early 2000s. That's a
no,
big
it
difference.
wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
And even now, if you look at Avatar, the stuff that you can do now on your home computer is better than what they've done on that. And that's the thing, like, because it constantly changes.
Plus, whether it had good
literally
special
looks like
effects or not,
somebody's-
the movie sucks.
Hey,
Well, yeah, there is that too.
At least the foam rubber stuff has comic effect to it.
True.
Just look at the old Godzilla movies.
Has anyone
Yes.
watched Steel? When he's running around with his big metal thing and he keeps brushing against stuff and you see it wobbling because it's foam. That's brilliant. I love that. I love dodgy practical. That's the best kind of practical.
I can't argue
Yeah,
with
but
there.
liking
It's
dodgy
funny.
practical effects is like me watching bad horror movies and Christmas movies because I like to pause them over and over and over to make fun of them for hours. I mean,
There's nothing
remember-
wrong with either of those two statements.
I remember
I'll take
when we
I'll take
saw
dodgy practical effects over horrible acting any day. God damn it.
No. If you've seen Still, there's horrible acting in there as well. There is at one point a chick who's staring off in the distance who you swear must be blind because she makes zero eye contact, and you realize that she's not. She was just in an explosion, but she was trying to be dramatic by not making eye contact with anyone. It's brilliantly terrible.
I remember when they talked about
Shaq's the lead. How could it be bad? It's Shaq.
That's great.
I remember, I think a year or so back, they were talking about making another Gremlins movie, and I'm pretty sure the reason why it got shelved is because of the backlash. They said, "Oh, we're going to make the Gremlins in CGI." It's like the fuck you are.
No.
Nice.
they still keep saying they're going to try to remake Princess Bride, and I think we need to riot if they do it.
Well,
That's another one you can't remake.
I agree.
They
100%,
did do the Gremlins commercial in pure CGI. I think it was a Doritos ad or something, or a Mountain Dew ad or something. That
I
was
think
pure
probably.
CGI.
Oh, was it?
I only seen it recently, but it was from a while ago. But yeah, apparently that was their proof of concept.
It's like going and doing Critters in CGI.
Oh yeah, totally.
No, see, Gremlins.
Not meant for the next level.
See, that's why you leave certain things alone. You know, Critters, Gremlins, those movies, leave them alone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Critters, Gremlins, Tremors.
They should be to to one generation the way I look at the original Universal monster movies. As you know, that's it's classic. It basically they basically define that era of practical effects.
They did.
Practical. I mean, that's the thing. The difference between special effects and I mean what we consider now. Like, I mean, they're doing Short Circuit with purely simply 3D graphics.
I love that movie.
You can't do Short Circuit without someone physically interacting with Johnny Five. Like, it doesn't work. Because even though you know it's a fake robot, there,
I would rather fucking watch Short Circuit 2 than see them remake it. I mean,
Short Circuit. Yes. I love the fact of how authentic they were with the Indian accents in that film.
You're not getting away from me, Oscar. I'm really pissed off.
Let's locos kick your ass. Let's locos kick your face. Let's locos kick your balls into outer space. I mean, I've only seen the movie once. I don't really know much about it.
Yeah.
First one's fun.
The first one's great.
I enjoy both of them.
I actually have both, so let's just put it that way.
Yeah, the first one was supposed to be standalone, and then they re-edited, they re-shot the ending scene for it to be a fake robot.
And again, I understand that they change things and stuff, but again, you can. There's some sequels that even though they're bad, there's at least moments that are enjoyable. You know.
Yes. Exactly.
And I would put that among them. It's overall a bad movie.
Yeah.
It is. But there are.
But compared to the crap of today.
Yeah. Compared to today, it's good, and there's still some moments that make you giggle and go.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
It's not Highlander 2.
No. Oh God, you had to bring that.
It's not that bad.
Let's put it
So I
this
mean,
way.
wait, which version? The magical space being version, or
doesn't
the
matter.
renegade
They
version?
It's
They all suck. Well, take this. Think of Cocoon. Think of batteries not included. These are practical effects, and if you made them CGI, it would probably suck and take away from the movie.
It's not probably. It will fucking suck if they do it. Leave these classics the fuck alone. Make something new.
And to quote another thing from the original Short Circuit, "Hey, lazy lips, your mama was a snowblower." I might have seen the movie once or twice.
A couple times, yeah.
Hello, Fedok, and I hope it's nothing too serious.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'll say this too,
like
and that is that I'll say this. I remember when like gay character to the LGBTQ, LGF, whatever community. I remember when gay people were like the hilarious sidekick that like everybody could count on a goddamn laugh whenever they spoke up. Whereas like now today, like
gay characters are not your clowns.
Well, Fedok, as long as you just lost a fight and not any limbs, I think everything is fine, huh? Or will be fine again.
I would rather have my culture or my lifestyle represented by somebody who knows how to laugh and be fun and be part of the group than these stodgy, uptight, whiny douchebags who treat everybody like they're bigots that they're writing as characters for them now. That's more of an insulting stereotype than somebody making a fucking joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you
longer
remember the
lasting
big
than insult as
backlash
well.
we had with, what the big complaint about It, the second It movie?
Yeah,
that was such stupid
he
shit.
He killed two gay characters. He ate two gay characters. I'm like, and.
I mean, it was
His
the
whole
same
point
thing
was
with
he was a killer. That's representation. At least you were being portrayed.
They're doing the same thing in the new Halloween movie. There,
Halloween film, Halloween, yeah. He goes back to his childhood home, and it just happens to be two gay characters who live there. He kills them. Oh, that's terrible. That's disgusting. I can't believe he did that. I'm like, he literally just killed about 30 firefighters that were going there to save the house earlier. Is that okay? I mean, they might have been gay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, the other thing about this is, and everybody here who knows me knows I'm not a Stephen King fan. So me saying this, I'm defending what he wrote, says something also. Because I bitch about how much I don't like him as a person and how much I think his writing is overrated. But
well, Stephen King
the original It had the fucking scene in the book where he went after the gay couple.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the gangbang scene at the end. That's all right. No.
Holy shit.
That too. But the point was, it's horror. It's supposed to be things that should never be done to somebody. It's supposed to be an example of the worst of humanity.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be, we look at this and go, let's prevent these kinds of atrocities from happening.
That was King's whole point in the book too. He was basing the couple, especially one of the characters, on a real life, terrible, disgusting incident. And that was like his way of like, not, I wouldn't say homage, but that was him using that as a was an influence in his backstory.
Acknowledging that sort of shit happened, yeah.
Right,
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Good morning, Frog G.
Well, my point was, I don't like him, but I'll defend him on this. That them saying that it proves any homophobic stuff is bullshit.
Look,
and this is the exact opposite.
Oh
yeah.
All that proves is most of those critics have probably never read anything.
Exactly.
They read the blurb on the back and they went, "Oh man."
They've tried the same shit with Dune, saying that Paul is this white savior.
The white savior.
I mean, if you read the book, there are no black people, white people, Asian people. Everybody is kind of homogenized. When they describe someone, it's usually that they are olive complexioned.
Yeah, if anything, Dune is all based on Middle Eastern culture.
I mean, being on a desert planet, you're not going to.
That's
exactly
just a racket, but people in general, is because of the Bene Gesserit, we're kind of all kind of the same skin color, hair type, stuff like that.
And because it's more of a desert-like world, they're going to be more like if you went to like the Middle East or some of these native tribes that lived in the desert or something. It's going to be more olive, a little red, stuff like that. That's just naturally what you're going to have in those areas.
But
hey, surprise!
It's more than just a Fremen. It's everybody. That's the thing.
I get what you're saying, because you've obviously read the.
In Africa, if you look at the areas in Africa, just for an example, you'll see some areas where you have a lighter skin tone and areas that have maybe a medium skin tone, and some that have a very dark skin tone.
Look at the tribes here. You have anything from people who look like basically, let's be honest, slightly tanned white folks to almost a cross of a red skin black guy. And that's the natural native colors. Because what part of the country, what environment, what natural resource, how the tribe developed, what their culture was, all played a part in what color they developed over the decades and centuries and millenniums.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Like the skin color and everything that makes sense with the law because it's developed. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see how anyone could legitimately have an issue with it. But
they can't, because these people are racist fucking idiots.
I know. I'm saying I understand. I understand that you understand that. It's just a rhetorical. Like, how can someone think that? But I know the reason why they do. But I'm just
It's the critics not knowing what the source material is.
Sorry, can everyone hear MB? Because I can barely even hear him.
Hello, I can hear you totally.
Who you having a problem hearing?
Can you hear me? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see his thing moving, but I can barely even hear. Like, is it at my end or can?
Let me see if I can adjust the settings because sometimes things are messed with.
Is this any better?
Okay, there. NB
Can you hear me?
More...
Oh no, I can hear you. It was MB.
How am I doing?
Yeah, you're good, bud.
You sound fine, Rob.
Oh, thanks.
You're fine, NB. You're a little quiet, but you're fine.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now, but you were way more quieter before. So I could see
it
you.
was.
I know your voice, so I didn't hear it. So
the volume had been turned down somehow, so that's fine. Yeah, I turned it back up.
One of the things with Dune is, when they say, "Oh, it's another, white savior," it's like what are you talking about? This has nothing to do with Earth and our society. These people are different.
Exactly.
Of course, you know, you're going to see the people on Arrakis in a much darker tone. Why? Well, it's a desert planet. The sun's up a lot. Their skin adjusted to the environment. Their eyes
What's he
adjusted
gonna do?
to the spice.
By the way, you want to really piss off the people that keep whining about it being a white savior thing, based on the fact that, you know, these are the SJW side that's doing that. You just tell them, no, it's not. But you remember Baswati Blues?
I'm not familiar with that.
That is the ultimate white savior movie, and it was done by fucking Brie Larson.
Oh, what? Oh, that's why I haven't heard of it.
That's why I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I never heard of it either.
It's really, really bad. It's really,
it makes
really
a
racist in its storytelling.
A unicorn coming movie look good.
It's really racist in its storytelling. To the point where it actually was getting banned in a lot of the in the area and Middle East stuff because of how badly she portrayed herself as basically their savior.
She's a
Is that like
that's how she described it.
The thing is,
that like
Paul Atreides, Muad'Dib, he did not go there with the intention of being a savior. They literally they put that on him. Remember the scene in when Martog doesn't want to be the emperor in DS9, and he says, "I don't want this." He goes, "Great men don't seek power. Great men have power thrust upon them."
Yeah,
it's
not the savior part that I have an issue with. It's the white part.
Well, then why do they support all this shit from people like fucking Brie Larson who are white blonde bimbos?
Look, is that like a personal attack or something?
She's a female. She has the female oppression card that she can use.
Wait,
she also has no ass.
See, that's where CGI comes in good.
She's got no ass, and yet she's an ass. It's one of the greatest magic tricks ever. I mean,
oh yeah, no.
She shows her feet to people and threatens to touch them with those feet. So they just give her what she wants.
I don't need a 41-year-old white guy telling me that this movie wasn't made for me.
It wasn't made for you.
Yeah, that's what she said. She goes, "I don't need to hear from some 40-year-old white person telling me this movie wasn't made for this movie." They made a shit movie, and that's why it failed.
And by the way, the movie that she said that about, the books were actually written. The books were actually written specifically to deal with the abuse and slavery and mistreatment of Celts. So it actually was fucking written for white people. Fuck off.
That's particularly why Chris Pine signed on, because he thought it was a great story. And fuck you, Brie
But they stuck him in a round room and turned him into the worst father on the planet.
Yeah, and if you actually read the book, the father was missing for a long time. He was not a bad guy, and he was doing all he could.
No, he wasn't.
No.
Ladies,
he was
second,
missing.
please.
He wasn't a missing father. He wasn't an abandoning. He wasn't abandoning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was missing. Yeah. He was captured. There's a difference.
Yeah.
And those were my books. Those were my books. The Time Quintet. How many books actually are connected to that? So they had an entire series based on Megan Calvin's kids. And I remember those were my books. My favorite book when I was little was A Swiftly Tilting
Planet. It was a series. It wasn't just a thing. It was a series.
It was a 5-book Time Quintuplet set, and then they had an entire mini series of books about the offspring of them. And that was all my books.
Read that
I was into it so much. And one of my favorite books when I was little, besides Swiftly Tilting Planet, was Dragons in the Water, which was about Megan Calvin's teenage children. So let's talk about and they want to turn it into this pro-communistic, progressive story. She was a Christian.
Hey, Bill.
And the 4th book in the set is called Many Waters. It is about the twins transporting themselves into the time of Noah and helping build the ark.
Now, Mar, didn't you have something you wanted to say?
Yes,
actually,
Mar.
I wanted.
Bill.
Thing is,
that's why Chris Pine signed on.
You all said You all said Brie Larson is a woman, but where is the proof of that? I mean, she has less ass than I have, and she has less titties than I have.
I mean, I have seen her gash, or it might be just the gap between her toes. I don't know what it was. It was from a
super
distance.
titties.
So.
No,
Mark,
but that's why
if you're
Chris
comparing
Pine
her
signed on.
flat figure to mine, then I guess that makes me super titties. Da 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 da.
No, you have more titties than me, but Brie Larson has less than me. So I'm a dude. What makes that Brie Larson? Probably not a female.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I read that. That's why Chris Pine signed on, is because he'd read the story when he was a kid. It's like, this would be a goddamn awesome movie. And like when he heard there's a movie, oh my god, there's being a movie being made. And like he signed on. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, come on. And like, and obviously I don't think that this is the kind of movie that he expected to come out on, but like.
He's like, yeah, make me a deadbeat dad, please. Make me a deadbeat dad.
Chris Pine, I actually like him. I think he gets screwed over by getting a lot of crappy roles that they change on him after he does it. But as a general, I actually like Chris Pine.
Well, here's
I like him too.
I saw this on Twitter because I go to I'm connected to TikTok, libs or something, and you had this lady throwing a fit. She was throwing a fit because Chris Pine was talking about his wife, and there was a picture where he's looking at the photo and she's looking at him and referring to him as a trophy wife and saying,
Jesus
you
Christ.
got a trophy. Oh, she doesn't want to be. I'm like, do you understand how women do that? I've seen plenty of pictures where women look at their husbands or their partner while one of them is looking in the camera. That's not uncommon. That's a term of endearment. And I'm looking at this woman. I'm like, well, you're obviously single and haven't been laid since the 70s.
Yeah.
I still refer everything back.
That's her issue
I refer
right there.
everything back to this SJW woman who thought she was going to insult me when I was defending men by telling me, "Oh, go have sex with your husband." It's like, where's the insult here? I'm trying to figure out what the hell you're saying. I mean, and I showed my husband that, and he said, "Honey, take her advice." Like, thanks.
Ask most women who married hockey players back in the 80s. Trophy wife. That's what it was.
Oh, sorry. Cultural differences. I didn't get any of that.
The problem is these women, these people, whatever you want
to call
women
them. Today.
The simple fact of the matter is,
well, I don't even think it's women.
So
I think it's a very small.
They want a strong. Most women want a strong man, and what do most strong men want? A strong woman, because we want to complement each other.
And
that's how you
strong
compliment.
Woman, not feminazi, not woman acting like a man. Exactly. Strong woman, yes. Be feminine, have our strengths as our gender, and accent them and honor them and be good as we are and acknowledge that we're not the same. And there is nothing wrong with being a strong woman and deciding that you want to serve and cater to and take care of your man. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if a guy is trying to force the girl to do that, that's a whole different discussion. But there's nothing wrong with somebody being a housewife. There's nothing wrong with somebody choosing to put their husband or their kids first. In fact, it's greatly honorable.
Actually, that was
women were not created.
That was one of the biggest things my wife and I did during our time in the service together. Is there were certain things we would have had to have done to get our careers to advance forward, and we decided, and we talked about it, and we communicated, and we both came to the conclusion and agreed. Both of us, neither making the other one. It said, when I'm off work, I want to spend time with my family. I want to be with my family. I don't want to be out doing something else. I want to spend time with, and if that affects my career in the military, so be it. But we made that choice together because my wife, okay, she's 4'8", maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. My wife is still a strong woman. She can do a lot of things. She complements a lot of weaknesses and and is able to be the complement to my weaknesses that I have, and to her, I complement her weaknesses, because we all have strengths and weaknesses. And the point of the matter is, a strong man can still have weakness. A strong woman can have reasons. The point is, you acknowledge those things, and when you meet a partner who can complement them and work with you on those weaknesses, and build up your strengths and complement your strengths and complement your and help in complementing you with your weaknesses, is
exactly.
a great
And call you
relationship is based
on your
on.
shit is another big thing.
Yes,
You got to have
and
someone who's
let's
willing
not
to
even
call
take
you
this.
on your shit.
Let's not even take this to the sexual side of it, but there is such a thing as what they call the strong submissive. Now, this is a person who their life is to serve, to cater to, and to take care of others, to do what they want, to give to others, to make things for others. It's the reason why I spend so much of my year making things I give away to everybody. But the point of these people is, their whole life is to serve and take care of others. But they tend to be actually the strongest people when it comes to not just physical but emotional balance, dealing with stuff, figuring out how to take care of people, running homes, running businesses and stuff. These tend to be the most strong and opinionated
That's what
people.
they choose, yeah.
Because it's a person, it's a certain personality type too, and it's part of psychology. And you can't, to all the people that are always saying trust the science, believe the science, we believe in evolution, then why do you ignore evolutionary science and the need for the hunter predator gatherer and the need for the maternal caretaker? Because that's evolutionary science.
There's nothing scarier or stronger than a mother protecting their young. And I don't care who you are.
You want to talk about the most
in
vicious,
any animal kingdom on the planet. That is the scariest thing.
You really, there's a reason why they say don't fuck with mama bear.
Yeah.
You fuck with a mama bear's cubs, she will fuck your world up.
Yeah.
In a way,
you ever watch the nature shows and you see them stumble upon
I saw
like
the
a den of
documentary on the
cubs
grizzly man,
or a
and
nest
that's
or
what
something,
happened.
and the first response they get is, "I better get out of here before Mama gets back." There's a reason for that.
Well,
Missy
yeah, exactly.
Well, one of the
here's the other thing too
is
the fact that
okay,
is the fact that
everyone, I will announce. I'm going to interrupt for just a second. I will announce there will not be a Cinema Saturday today. Obviously, Bert is not up to it.
Okay.
Well, okay.
He gets better.
Right.
Poor Bert.
As I was saying,
he's not feeling the best.
Women were not created to do everything that a man could do. Women were created to do everything a man couldn't do.
Yeah.
And the flip side, we balance each other. And the thing is, that doesn't mean there aren't
That's
outliers.
right.
I am a hunter. I am a warrior girl. I can't have kids, and I want to, but there are outliers in that. But as a general, we complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. That's how we were designed. And men cannot do most of what women can do when it comes to multitasking and taking care of children and homes and stuff like that. Their brains and their bodies don't function well that way. Just like men cannot handle pain in the same way that women do, because we're designed to deal with pain in order to be able to reproduce and give birth. And so as a general, actually, women usually have a stronger pain tolerance than men.
Yes.
I mean, men can handle pain, everything up until the pelvic area, and then that's when they turn into children.
But as a general, we tend to have a higher pain tolerance.
Yeah. I don't want to go through childbirth. I've seen that.
But what was that?
Most women are. Think about this. Women are generally naturally caregivers. Think about.
Exactly.
They things like nurses, LPNs, RNs. Who runs most daycares? Who are most the teachers? Who are most the psychologists, psychiatrists you'll go to? They will generally be female, because those are the career those are the career fields that are dominated by females. Why? Because they're naturally better at them.
It reflects in the darkness of humanity too. When they go scary, when women and men kill, most female killers are what they call angels of mercy, which is literally they think they're doing somebody a service by putting them out of their misery. And this is why you have to, it's a completely different psychology you have to study in order to even fight killers. If you're fighting against a male versus a female, because it's a different motivation, because our brains are wired differently.
And also, it is scientifically proven the reason why women can multitask in a way men can't is because you have more synapses that cross both hemispheres.
We also have a higher percent. Here, let's offend the feminists really bad. We also have a higher percent of mental illness and mental breakdown because we have more hormones and endorphins and are more emotional.
I mean, I think both of those are it's ridiculous. Men tend to focus on things more thoroughly than women do. It's not a multitasking thing. Men tend to focus on a single issue more so, where women can do more. It's not a multitasking. It's about priorities and splitting it.
It's not even that. Actually, it is true. Women have more synapses connecting different parts of the brain to each other, so our thoughts tend to have. And it's not that we're not focused and not being working hard.
No, it's not focused. I'm saying I'm not saying it doesn't correlate.
Let me explain real quick here. It's that our brains are designed to move from one topic to the next. You have to do that in order to be a caretaker for kids and stuff. You have to be able to connect all these weird dots that don't necessarily connect and bounce from one thing to the other very quickly and seamlessly. Men's brains do have very focused channels, and this is in neurology and stuff. And so they have a hyper focus on single task, usually. Again, there's always outliers, but as a general. And that doesn't mean either is better or worse than the other. It means our skills and how we focus are not usually the same.
I mean, I've been in plenty of arguments with women, and they can bring up stuff from over here, and then link it all back in. I know I can't compete with that. I understand that. I can focus on what the current issue is, but no, what I'm saying is the idea of men not being able to multitask versus women, it's a lazy argument. I think everyone can multitask to a certain.
Multitask. I said women can do it better.
They can't do it as well. And every single time it's been tested where they actually get groups together and test multitasking and being able to pay attention to many things, it's always been. It's always been like different scenario, but
I understand
better with the women.
How you design function or anything else.
It depends on what
they can both do it, but the female brain was designed to do that primarily, while the male brain was primarily designed to focus.
Yeah,
exactly.
It depends on what the tasks are.
You know.
You have to look at what the tasks are.
I don't think it's a biological thing. I think it's more of a cultural thing. That's what people do.
No, it's entirely.
We can agree to disagree, and that's fine. That's my point.
Do you guys have the links? Because I kind of can't send links while I'm at this position on this little laptop, but there's a lot of medical studies on it. And again, I've dealt with a lot of neurology stuff in my life because of the brain stuff I've dealt with. And yeah, it is our brains are actually wired differently genetically.
But does that directly correlate to that? That's what I'm saying. Like,
yes,
I don't know if that directly
because it's very specific pathways of the brain that function you to be able to focus multiple versus singular, and singular pathways are very weak in the female brain and strong in the male, and vice versa.
I mean, the idea of multitasking, concentrating on two different things at one time. I've never seen any real evidence of someone being able to actually do it.
What do you think I'm doing right now? I'm listening to music, talking to you guys, doing this artwork while I'm paying attention.
That's not what I'm suggesting. Everyone's doing that to a certain degree.
Yeah,
I'm
understand what you're
I'm
saying.
picking up something. I'm talking on a microphone. I'm looking at a camera. Like when I'm not suggesting the remedial sort of task. I'm saying in general when it comes to things that involve concentration.
No, I do have to the point where I can't single focus, to the point where if I try to, it actually makes my brain start wandering and having trouble. In order to be able to have good focus and attention, I have to have multiple things I'm focusing on. So it's actually the complete opposite for me, and quite an extreme, actually. I have to be doing multiple things.
I mean,
That's
I
kind
don't
of
know
strange, though,
that
because
must be like going to sleep must be terrifying because you've got to have music or something or going on to be able to do that. Then
it is a bit like that, and the thing is that is a common side effect. Also, that one is more common to happen in girls, but it is part of the hyperactive brainwaves, and yeah, that is a very common issue that people with ADHD, autism, and stuff have is we can't single focus well. And so, yeah, that is for me. I have to have multiple things going on. Most people have no idea how many things I usually have going on at once while I'm talking to them.
wait, are you on another stream right now?
No, but I have done 6 streams at once before.
Oh, well, I've never done a 6-way stream, so I can't compete with it. I've done a 2-way one, and that was hard enough to compete because
if you keep calling it 6-way, 2-way, my brain's going to go right into the gutter here.
You know that was the point. Yeah. See?
Let's be fair. It was already in the gutter.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Just
I'm
want
a
to
good
express
girl.
it.
You know, the talk about earlier strong dynamic, strong male, strong female relationships. They also make for the best stories. What are think about the greatest movie characters, the best movies when it comes to you have a strong husband, wife, strong boyfriend, girlfriend. They don't work without if one of them are weak. I mean, even a movie like Rocky, if Adrian's a weak character, that movie stinks. It's a bomb. Nobody cares.
Huh.
You need, I mean, and then you can go back to the 30s, the 40s, Lauren Bacall, Betty Davis. These were strong women. They dominated. They were
one
the
of
top
the worst
people.
things that our modern
And they
culture
always
has done.
leave that out when they talk about there are no strong women in Hollywood.
I
tell them all, just watch a damn Western, okay?
Yeah.
I was going to say,
that's all you got to do.
That is one of the biggest misnomers and dangerous statements that the modern feminist movement has had is portraying that homebodies and housemakers and housewives are not strong. It's actually incredibly strong. You have to be in order to do that and take care of all those people and run those things. And it takes a great amount of strength also to serve somebody else and put yourself through that and still try to maintain independence in your own ways and other stuff. That balance point of that takes a lot of strength, and it's something that actually it's a misnomer that's really dangerous.
Do a
also.
job all day and not get paid for it. That's what it is to be.
Yes, exactly.
The house mom.
You know?
Because the fact of the matter is, whether you're working for Tesla or doing everything, you're still underneath someone else. You're still doing something else. As a mother, if you're a single mother or anything, you're the household. But if you're in a relationship where you're not earning any money and your husband is, there's always going to be that part that makes you feel the opposite. I've been in the opposite scenario where I wasn't earning anything. I was the house husband. I was the one taking care of the kids, and I've been there, and it feels the same way when I was talking to other women. Everything they feel the same way. But we take pride in taking care of them because at the end of the day, your job means nothing. Your family is the thing that makes it, and that's what makes it strong.
That was the situation I had growing up. Is that mom wasn't the one who stayed home? Dad was. Mom was the one who could work because Dad has all these issues. He has the muscular dystrophy and stuff, so he was the one home with the kids so she could pay the bills. And that wasn't a position of weakness. He was still a great father. He was freaking on canes, on a walker, dealing with medical and still taking care of multiple kids. That was a position of strength. He wasn't giving up.
You do a job and you don't get a tax. You don't get tax benefit. You don't get paid, but you don't. It's not considered a job.
I remember
exactly
just the classic manners and values. I remember my dad on his canes. He liked to drive people around because at least he could do it. He could still drive, and that meant he could do something for other people without having to deal with his medical. He always wanted to be a gentleman to everybody. And so that means it didn't matter where the car was, how hard it was to get around it, do things. If somebody was getting in his car, he would go hobble around it on his canes to open their door for them, to let them in and out of the car.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to show them respect and honor and stuff. And in a lot of ways, he was making himself a bellhop in some ways in how he treated people, a doorman. But he was doing it because he was showing respect and kindness, and that was actually a position of strength.
He obviously went through something in his life that made him appreciate that small act. My grandfather did the same thing. He was a prisoner of war, and every time he would go downtown, if there was a lady getting, he would go over there and he would do the same thing. He would open the door. If there was someone walking across the road, he would offer them their arm to walk across the road, because he said, like, when I was in my lowest point, I'd never ever thought I'd be in a position to not have to worry about if I'm actually going to survive or get fed. So if you can just do one thing a day to help someone, you don't know what that means to them, and don't ask for thanks, don't ask for a credit, just do it and walk away.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Just like if you give somebody money to help them out of a situation, don't expect it back. Yeah. Never loan or give money you expect to get back. It's a general rule.
Exactly.
If he gave money, he didn't want to know the person's name. It's just like, hey, take the money. Don't. We don't need to know each other. Take it and go. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't do something.
I like your thinking, Germ. I do like your thinking. I wish the banks were like that.
Yeah. I wish. Yeah.
But no, these are ways to interact with people. Look, I admit, I get very sweet and mushy this time of year. What my routine every year is, the day after Halloween, I stick up several empty Christmas trees around the house. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason they're empty. Over November through to the middle of December, I will fill them with jewelry and ornaments and painted and beaded things and stuff, and give it all away. To every person I know, every person I run into, every person I interact with.
That's okay, just as long as you're not putting anything outside.
No.
No Christmas decorations until after Thanksgiving outside.
Yes.
Nothing public needs to be shown until after the next holiday is over.
I don't decorate outside anyways. I'm not here to entertain other people. If I'm putting decorations up, I want to look at them in my house.
It's so
I'm looking forward to
Halloween
after Thanksgiving.
Christmas gifts.
I'm looking forward to Halloween.
I've got to head off, guys and gals. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for having me on the stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good having you on again, Captain Trek. You're
awesome,
my new favorite late night stream. So this is awesome. Now you're on basically every night. So this is great. It was good to be on with. Me and this gentleman here, we were on earlier together. And also gentleman's over here. I feel like I've been on with everyone in the last couple of days. So it's great. And it was nice to meet you, Eagle Rider. And I have no idea what you're making, but it kind of looks like a cat. Is it?
It is a sleeping white tiger cub.
Okay, I saw the nose and I went, that's definitely a cat nose. So
I'll have to put the pictures up on Twitter when it's done, because it's too big to really keep in the camera focus.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you.
Good to see you, man.
Tolerating me and having a bit of time to talk. So, and you all have a good night, or morning, or evening, or whatever time it is.
See you later, Mr. Grand.
Yes, that's why I always open with the good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah, that's it's the perfect way to do it.
Well, because with the internet culture, you don't know where somebody is talking to you from. And I've got, again, most of my friends that I talk to all the time are, the closest time zones for most of them are England. So, I mean.
One of the things I'm looking forward to when... One of the things I'm looking forward to when Christmas gets here is that's when Golden Corral puts up their Christmas tree and requesting donations. And my wife and I always look through that. We've been doing that now for 15 years. We'll pick one boy, one girl, and we will look at the wish list and we will donate it to that person.
Mm-hmm.
Every year. And they're like, do you want them to know who you are? I said, no. No. I take Winchester's view of charity.
Yeah.
If it's a true gift of charity.
Oh, Winchester.
Yes. Winchester said, he goes, if it's a true gift of charity, you don't promote yourself to do it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So
yes.
Here's the other thing, and because we were talking about
remembers MASH.
We were talking about the way I decorate and stuff, and when you start to, with those of us who make a living by making things with our hands, 70 to 80% of our yearly sales are Christmas sales.
Oh my God, Gizmo, how heavy are
So
you now?
we spend 6 to 9 months of the year making Christmas stuff if we make stuff with our hands and sell it. So most of us who do that stuff, we're already so jaded to, the craft stores have to have that stuff up in the middle of summer. It's not like the department stores putting it up because they want to promote it for months. It takes people months to get all this stuff done for everybody. And so it's a completely different world and mindset where we just kind of roll with it.
Mm-hmm. You want your toy? Nice. You want your toy? You want to tag a war? You want to?
There's so many smart ass comments I could make the way he was talking. Anyway.
Oh, I know.
I liked the fact that he referenced the Major Charles Emerson Winchester from MASH, way back from like the 80s, or probably even in the late 70s, and as 70s. If we all remembered it, But he's right.
Who doesn't know MASH? You can't be in America and not know MASH. It is literally the most watched.
Most of the young morons that are constantly on their machines don't know
what is
MASH.
Still the highest rated series finale in American history. Goodbye.
It's the highest rated hour of television in American history. It blows all these every reality thing they've ever done in the last 20 years out of the water.
Yes.
So it beat The Fugitives in last episode?
Yeah, it did actually. Yep.
It did.
Because for the longest that was the
dominates today as the #1 highest rated series finale in America. Goodbye, farewell, and it was so, what Hawkeye was going through. It was so like, when you finally realize what happened, you almost are brought to tears with Hawkeye.
Oh, totally.
If you can't be brought to tears by that, quite frankly, I don't think you're human.
Oh, no, absolutely.
The one thing that finally made him snap.
Oh, especially when you sit there and typical Frog G. Find the link to whatever we're discussing.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and you remember that scream? You remember that scream of anguish when Hawkeye said there, it was like, oh! And he sit there and he realizes that it's not a hen that woman strangled; it was her own baby. And when
he goes, oh my god, she smothered her own baby, and he's he said, because they were in a hostile environment. He's, can you keep that kid quiet?
Yeah, we're the Vietnam were.
It broke him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, where the Viet Cong were sneaking by the bus and they're like in any slight sound would have put them out. Like the lady strangled her own goddamn baby, and he said there's it was her own baby. And
his mind was talking, and his mind kept talking about a chicken because his mind was blocking it out. It was one of the most gut-wrenching moments when he had realized what had happened, and he felt guilty about it.
Yeah.
Because his job was to save lives, not destroy them.
Yes. Oh, man. One of the most powerful...
And the reason why I know MASH so well is because this was a show my father and I, because I wasn't born when it originally started, but I did watch it with my father throughout the years after I got a little bit older, and it's one of his most favorite series. I bought him the tin for it that had all the episodes in it.
That's awesome. Oh, nice.
It was just so powerful. People think, oh, it was a comedy. Well, when especially it's more.
It started off that way.
They used humor as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
And that's exactly like I used sarcasm when I was in the military. It was a coping mechanism.
And
we all did.
Whether you're military, whether you're
Winchester really
victims of trauma, Whether you're military, whether you're victims of trauma, whether you're dealing with hard inner city stuff or stuff, darkness of humanity, dealing with the darkest things you can deal with. The only way you can survive it and not go insane is to try to find something to be lighthearted about, something to laugh about, something. The quote, going back to our discussion about A Wrinkle in Time, one of my favorite quotes from that book is the only way to deal with something deadly serious is to treat it a little lightly.
See?
Yeah.
Homicide detectives do.
And you saw that in Bill Murray's movie. God, I can't think.
Stripes?
No, not Stripes. The only one of his first dramatic roles. I can't think of the name of it, but it's him and takes place during the First World War. He's an ambulance driver, and they see another crew get killed, and immediately they start insulting the guys that just died.
Razor's Edge?
Yeah, that's it. And then later on, Bill Murray had to do that to the guy he was partnered with. And that was the only way they could keep the emotion down and keep some sanity.
It was, it's a coping mechanism. I mean, when you're dealing with trauma, in MASH, for example, they use humor, and it works because this is a very serious situation. And this is how they are dealing with it. And this is how they are coping with it. Now, not all of them do it. Honey Lips didn't, she was a very serious individual, and so was Winchester. But even they had to have moments of levity.
Yeah.
Hot Lips.
Hot Lips, thank you.
Sorry. Honey Lips is performing on stage somewhere.
And
or you combined Honeycutt and Houlihan in some gross.
Honeycutt and Houlihan. That's
Major Honeycutt, Hot Lips, Houlihan.
Yeah.
Hot Lips Houlihan. Yes, exactly.
And actually, Winchester had to frequent a prostitute every now and then, and treat her like she was just, the whole wine and dine thing for several days before they actually did it.
Well, he was despite his demeanor at times, he was still, by all accounts, a gentleman.
Yeah. And he wasn't the asshole that he portrayed himself to be. You saw that the guy that had the pianist, he explained to him that there are pieces for just the left hand that he could play, and there were several episodes like that showed his humanity. He just wasn't that asshole that he always portrayed himself to be.
Well,
good morning, Kronos. Thank you for joining backstage.
Remember when Major Winchester had that band, and this is a Goodbye Farewell.
Oh, that was the last episode. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Where he puts them together and they put a thing together, and he's teaching them how to do it. And then he,
how to do a certain song.
Concerned about them leaving, and they have to go because it's a transfer, and they all play their music for him. And then he finds out they've all been killed. And then he goes and puts the record on, and he starts breaking
he can't
the
play
record.
it.
Yeah,
he can't hear the song.
He breaks the damn record.
Yeah. Again, that's a powerful moment too. And I have to say too, I have to credit Charles Emerson Winchester with my love of classical music too, because I have to say in my video gaming, my PlayStation 2, a game came up called that wouldn't normally come up on in the North American shores, but it was called Mad Maestro, but it came from the Japanese thing, and it was called Mad Maestro, and it was there's actually supposed to be Mad Maestro 2, but only in Japan because Mad Maestro didn't sell that great here in North America. But like, good God, I have to say, like, I played Mad Maestro, and like one of the neat concept behind the whole movie game is that a young conductor tries to save his local opera house, and as a result, he winds up conducting, because he's a conductor, and he takes a band of miscreant people and like kids slash whatever, and and they wind up actually the whole quote plot of the story is that they wind up playing a bunch of classical tunes, and you have to basically conduct them to perfection, and as a result, each song you do moves on to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage, and then ultimately you wind up saving like the opera house. And, like, I loved it too, because like that's why I freaking love like I've managed to sit there and like I'm sitting there watching movies, and also it's like, oh my god, that's like um like I would name like a classical tune, and my brother was like, I didn't know that. I was like, well, just because I played like like, I played a video game, and like it told me of like of a classical tune, and like and as a result, like I would sit there and I could sit there and I would name like shit, and I can't even name a single goddamn classical tune right now. Maestro something or other. Anyway, but the point being is, it was like I could sit there and like thanks to the video game, there's like so many goddamn tunes, classical tunes that I can name because of that tune, or tune, because of that game, and and the same thing with like sitting there watching MASH. I was like, I thought that and I was like, and that's why I was so touched. Yeah, that's why I was so touched with like when they sit there and like they're playing the tune, just as Charles Winchester is watching like them move, like on the back of the Jeep, like, or Jeep, the tractor, like taking him away, and then all of a sudden like he finds out like an hour later that they were killed in a bombing, and it's just like like, and then
they weren't even
more,
soldiers; they were musicians.
Yeah, exactly.
Another powerful episode, and I remember watching this as a child, was Colonel Henry Blake. His whole episode was he got orders to go back home. He's all excited, calls his family. Everybody's happy for him. They have a nice celebration. And then
he gets shot down.
And then the ending comes, and the crew nobody knew. They hid that from them. So when radar comes in and is saying Colonel Blake's plane was shot down, there were no survivors, I had to actually look at my father. I said, I started crying. I was like, they killed him. I was like, Dad, he didn't make it home. I was so heartbroken by that.
Me too.
I started crying my eyes out.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how goddamn real TV could be back then.
And as someone who's been in the military now for as long as I was, it even had a more powerful impact on me now, because I've known people who didn't make it home, and I was just like, oh man, but as a child, when I was watching it with my dad on syndication, I was just like, he's dead. He didn't make it home. I was like, but my dad had to console me about that.
I can't even begin to imagine what that was like.
It was, I wasn't expecting it. It was just, it was gut-wrenching for me as a child. Because I was watching the show every day with my dad on syndication in like 1987, 1988, after it had already aired.
Right.
And we started watching it from the
time.
beginning. Yeah, we started watching it from the beginning. So, you know, I knew who Henry Blake was. And then that part came out, and I was just like, I literally just started crying.
Again, I can't even begin to imagine. It's like, you know, I mean, like, I'm only sitting there like speaking from somebody who watched it from like, I love the show, and then all of a sudden like a TV character dies, you know, and like I'm still kind of like, oh wow, you know, and it's just like, but like to sit there and like to imagine like somebody who, well, you know, has actually been in the army and everything, and then suddenly, nope, you didn't make it, you know, and you're just kind of like, what? I'm like, I can't even grasp that. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, you know, I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, as a child, that was just for me. It was
exactly,
like
you know,
you thought this was going to be a happy episode, and then it ends in a tragedy. You know, kind of like Old Yeller and Where the Red Fern Grows at the end. You know, you cry about those things, and this was the first time I cried about a character dying on a show ever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are in the same position I am. I started watching it after Henry Blake was already off the show, and there's enough in there to spoil that he actually died. So
yeah,
because I started watching it with Colonel Potter episodes, and when it was in syndication, at least here, they never showed the episodes in order. So every so often, it just hey, there's a different colonel here.
Oh,
remember when Radar got Colonel Potter the horse?
Oh my God! Yeah,
that's a good episode.
Oh yeah,
he bought him a horse, and then at the end of Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, he's like, "I'm going to take," and I can't remember the name of the horse.
One last ride. One last ride.
Yeah, one last ride.
Oh, I'm already like choked up saying that.
Oh, it's just a TV show. Relax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
There's a good show that you're talking about, the balance between having dark moments with humor and using real life aspects. There was a show called Homicide. I don't know if you guys saw it back in the 90s. And there's an episode that sticks out when Robin Williams is on, and him and his family are visiting Baltimore where the show takes place. His wife is murdered. So he keeps visiting the homicide office to find out more about his wife. And then he hears the lead detectives on the case just cracking jokes about the case. And he snaps and he flips out. He's like, they're making a joke. My wife is dead. My kids have no mother, and they're making a joke. And the captain takes them aside and said, listen, they're dedicated. They will do everything they can. They said, but in this line of work and what they see every day, if they can't do this, they can't do their job.
By the way,
the thing is that this TV, this entertainment and stuff, they always say, well, it's just a show, it's just a movie, it's just a book. Or the point of entertainment, the point of these things, A, there's the whole escapism thing, but B, you're writing things, you're creating things to emote to the audience, to share an idea, an experience, an emotion. And I'm sorry, but I'm not the kind to cry at movies, but I understand getting torn up at the concept of things, especially when it hits so real. And the one that hit real to me, a lot of people made fun of us being propaganda stuff, but it's not. And that was October Baby. And the reason they say it was propagandist is because it has a more pro-life slant. That's because it's a true story about a kid who lived through an abortion. And it includes the parts where she finds out where she was supposed to be a twin and the sibling was actually ripped apart limb from limb outside of the womb. And this is a true story.
Wow.
And yeah, it'll make you want to bawl your head off when you see this adopted girl going through all this stuff, going, did my parents not want me that much?
When people say it's just a movie or it's just a book or it's just a TV show, it's like, obviously you don't understand the concept of what is supposed to be done. The point of the matter is is to be engaged, to believe in these characters, to make a connection to them. That's why we have emotions when things affect them. If you make a good character and a good story, we're going to be engaged. We're going to be interactive. I'll give you an example.
Goddamn, yes.
I'll give you a modern example right now. I'm watching the show The Rookie on Hulu, and one of the characters was there for 3 seasons. And then this season, he was killed. And it was like this guy was literally between the three amigos that were together. They were inseparable as rookies together. And with him being gone, it has devastated both of them because he literally was the voice of conscience. He was the heart of all 3 of them. It has nothing to do with the fact that he was black or he was gay. It had to do with he was a character that was just well written, well done, and served a purpose. So his loss was affecting. When I saw that they had killed, I was like, no, not him. I was like, not him.
We're supposed to bring out the humanity of these situations. Like I said, with that movie, that's one of the only movies that ever literally put me in depression. And because A, it was a real story. B, it parallels the stuff that my godson went through. Because I deal with inner city outreach and abuse and rape victims and stuff. I've seen a lot of these cases in real life. And yeah, you have to find a way to laugh about even the darkest shit when you're dealing with this stuff. Otherwise, it will break you. It absolutely will. But a good story has to show how hard it is for people to get through this stuff. And you have to feel their emotion, their pain, their life, their joy.
Yeah. You have also in The Rookie afterwards, one of the other officers, they were roommates together. And she has basically an adopted daughter, or she's a surrogate to another girl. And that girl is now in his room, and she's had issue. You go through an episode where she can't figure out the right paint color. She can't, decide on it because it's like to her, she has to tell the girl, she's talking to Nolan, and it's like, your problem is, and he doesn't say it like that. What's going on is you're having issues with letting go. And she's like, you change this room. It's like once she changes the room, it's where reality is going to sit in for her. And he's really gone. He's not coming back. Yeah, he's dead. Yes, they've been to his funeral, but now it's like when any of us have had to pick up our parents or family members' effects and take them out, and it's gut-wrenching because it's like that's when it really hits you that the person's gone, when you have to remove their things from the house.
It is really difficult for a lot of people to understand why entertainment and the culture war mean as much as they do until you start thinking about reasons why a lot of stuff are done. And yeah, the easiest way to influence another generation is through the entertainment. It's through what they hear, see, speak, sing, watch, It's through what they consume. And that's because that's the stuff that speaks to us. How many of us have been through something traumatic and the first thing we can fall back on is a song that reminds us of how we got through it or what we went through?
There's a song, I'll give you an example here. There's a song I can't listen to. I cannot listen to. There are 2 songs I cannot listen to. I cannot listen to Aerosmith's You're My Angel because that was my song with my ex-wife. And I cannot listen to Cats in the Cradle because it reminds me, of how my father was and how my grandfather was. And I can't listen. If I hear Cats in the Cradle and I try to listen to it all the way through, I'll start bawling like a little bitch.
Don't tempt me.
Oh, I finally got some ammo on you.
I just love that we're having this deep philosophical, emotional conversation. And Mara's like, ooh, I could use this to fuck with you.
We call us who don't know. Cats in a cradle, and the cats and the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man on the moon.
Please don't do it to me. I'm begging you guys. Don't do that to me.
I gotta be honest, when he said that, it popped in my head and I almost sang it accidentally.
It's not that I don't know the song. It's the fact that the emotion the song brings me.
Yeah.
And there are other songs that will bring me to tears in good ways and stuff. It was like when my grandmother, she was listening to a song, a country song, and it was by Blake Shelton, and it was the one where He Will Always Be My Baby. I don't remember the exact title. And my grandmother just started bawling because she was like, it reminded her of her father who had passed the last few years. You know, certain things.
There are a good list of songs that I am really deeply emotionally tied to, both good and bad, because there is nothing you're experiencing in life you can't find a song that talks about it.
Exactly.
There's so many people with so many different emotions that they're and life experiences they're going through, writing and singing about it because it's a way to express it. That whatever you're going through, you can find a song to help you through it or to help you express it. That's just a fact. And when you do, those songs will carry with you after. They'll be a part of you.
One of the songs I know from a band I can't think of the name of was Jenny. And the thing was, the song was about his sister who was going through drugs at the time. And their mother was sick and she was fighting to stay alive for her daughter. And, you know, he was very angry for a long time about what happened because he was like, our mom's dying and you're being selfish is the way this. If you really listen to, you know, certain songs, whether they be hard rock, whether they be heavy metal, whether they be country rap, whatever, there is a reason why most of those songs that are so powerful were written, because they were written for a specific reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blake Shelton's The Baby. Thank you, Frog G. Oh, Nothing More. Thank you, Frog G. Yeah, good song.
Yeah.
God damn, Frog G is always on that.
Unfortunately, I really don't want to list songs I'm emotionally tied to because the ones I am, they go way too easily into revealing dark shit about me to say it, you know? Because the ones I'm tied to, they're very open songs about exactly what kind of human experience they're talking about, you know?
Well, I have a strong tie to songs that talk about drugs and alcohol because of what I've seen my family go through and what I've experienced through, you know, alcoholism and stuff. And it's like they're very relatable to me from the experiences I've known throughout my life. So, yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that is so great about so many of these songs is that it has an emotional tie to these people who are writing them.
Mm-hmm. Well, as somebody who's been, you know, writing songs and poetry and stories and stuff since I was 11,
yeah,
you pour your heart and soul into it. And if you're somebody who's going through a lot or who's been through a lot or who deals with people who go through a lot, unfortunately with me, all of the above, it is a release. But it's also sometimes the only way you feel safe to express the dark things you've seen and experienced. Because talking to most people about it, they can't comprehend it in the way you need to, or it scares them and they run away. And so it becomes an outlet. But that darkness that becomes a part of that outlet is also what makes the pieces so deep, so relatable to other people as they find them.
Well, you have for example, I don't know if any of you have ever read this, the girl who kicked over, the girl with the dragon tattoo. This was written In fact, the whole series was basically written because the writer, when he was much younger, saw a woman being raped and he did nothing because he didn't think he could do anything. And it traumatized him because he felt, guilty about not doing anything. He just walked away. You all right, Mr. Lundell?
Yeah, I'm yawning. That's all. Reading shit on my Facebook feed.
I really hate to end the stream because everything's going so well, but I know that Resolute Germ. Well, I know Resolute Germ is going to be starting Saturday morning cartoons in under 5 minutes, so I want to give people a chance to go over there.
Go over my husband, anyways, so because he's up and about now.
Okay. Well, I do want to thank everybody who's been on the panel and everybody who's been in the chat and everybody who's watching on Rewatch. Thank you so much. Remember, do like, share, subscribe, do all the normal stuff. Thank you again and have a great day.
Thank you.